Hello and welcome to Press Start Turbo. In today's episode, we're going to be looking at AI's expanding presence in gaming. Then we'll be talking to Brendan Hesse about our current landscape of games journalism. In the back half, we'll be talking about the first day in Disco Elysium as picked by the Patreon. Joining today is Mandy, Brendan, and as always, the indomitable Billy.
Indomitable? What the fuck?
You cannot be dom. I like it.
You can't be domed. You are undominable.
Undominable. Okay.
If you meet somebody named Dominic, you will obliterate them on the spot.
Like, I just wanted to give you a bit of, like, you know, just hype you up a bit, you know?
Flavor. Put a little pepper on it.
A little bit of flavor. I've done work on a game called Cryptid Crush, and the main programmer on that is called Dom. So like,
even better.
Even better.
I've been domed already.
All right, the first thing I want to get into is a bit lighter, as I feel like in the second half, or no, the back half of the first half.
Well, it's gonna get pretty.
It's
rough.
gonna be a little.
It's gonna get a lot of screaming matches. Some people have really bad opinions in here.
True. But the first thing I want to talk about is the Prince of Persia, the Lost Crown, I believe.
Yes, Lost Crown.
I think by the time this episode comes out, it will also be out. But at current moment, it's got a demo out and reviews have come out, and it has been doing very well.
I thought it was already out. That I was gonna grab it. Oh, it comes out at midnight.
Yeah.
Okay. It comes out at midnight tonight. Okay.
It's sitting at an 87 on OpenCritic, and it's been getting like 9s and 8s across the
Rave
board.
reviews.
Am I the only one who's played the demo so far?
I don't think I've talked about it much, but I'm a huge Prince of Persia fan. Well, I mean, it's really hard to grow up in French Canada and not be a Prince of Persia fan, because growing up, the gaming landscape was like pretty much only Ubisoft Montreal, and the flagship title of Ubisoft Montreal back then was Prince of Persia. So like everybody had a copy. It's like going to Iowa. Everybody has Joe Dirt in Iowa. Everybody has Prince of Persia in Quebec.
And I'm assuming you mean like the Sands of Time era Prince of Persia.
Yes.
Yeah.
Sands of Time, Warrior Within.
They're great.
The Twin Towers.
Two Thrones.
Billy already.
The Twin Towers.
That would have been bold if they called it Prince of Persia, the Two Towers.
Crazy. What is it called?
Two Thrones.
Oh my god, I actually didn't mean to say that. Oh my god. Well, all I'm saying is I'm a really big fan of Prince of Persia. And so big, in fact, that when I got really excited recently and I went back and played Forgotten Sands because I never got to play it. And then I saw that the demo was out for Prince of Persia Lost Crown. So I grabbed it pretty much immediately because I was very excited for the new direction.
Yeah.
It's really good. I don't know what your opinion was, but you can do some crazy DMC
Yeah,
shit.
I'm coming up from a kind of a opposite direction of you, because I haven't played any of the previous Prince of Persia games. I know nothing about the lore apart from Jake Gyllenhaal is the OG, right?
No,
that's everybody likes
that's the reboot, right?
Yeah. No, that's the movie. That's the movie.
Oh, fuck's sake!
Everybody thinks that Forgotten Sands is a movie tie-in, but it's not. And I only learned that like last week because I thought I thought Jake Gyllenhaal was the prince in that.
No, that continues Sands of Time somehow.
Does it continue? I thought it continued Two Thrones.
It fucked people up because there was a reboot before it, like a few years ago. Before it was like DMC, where they went, but instead of going, this is DMC 5, this is Prince of Persia 4. They said this is Forgotten Sands.
Yeah, it was that. I think it was just called Prince of Persia, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was just called Prince of Persia.
Yeah, it had horrifically bad combat and really, really good platforming, which, I mean, that's what I play those games for. The platforming challenges and puzzles are always super fun. And they're really fucking fun in this too. Like, the only thing that I think is missing is wall running, because that feels like such a it's like the staple of those games.
That's what the first game did.
Have you seen the animation of your dash though? I think when you dash, you can hold it down and it goes slightly longer. It looks like you're wall running off the side of the like whatever geometry is next to you. It's pretty cool.
Oh, I haven't seen that. That's rad as hell. Never mind. They did.
But the game is really fun. The demo, at least, it's super promising. It's going for this like Metroidvania style of map layout, and
amazing idea.
I don't know how it compares to other Prince of Persia games, but it seems like it's going for something new, and I'm down for it. I think I'll be getting it.
I'm okay. It's been years, so I'm not 100%. I know that Prince of Persia remake or reboot, that one was open level design. You could go like into, they had like 3 big maps or like 3 areas, and you could switch around in them. I think Warrior Within, was kind of open-ish, but still very linear. The rest are like just straightforward. This might be, this is very open though. And I know that the game even has like two modes where it's like you can have the exploration mode where it's very much like a Metroid game, where it's like it throws you into the game and says like, fucking go explore, go figure shit out, or you can play the guided mode that just tells you where you should potentially go next. And I think that's, dude, I really like the way they do, like you can customize your experience in that game with the difficulty and the different exploration modes. It's such a smart way to like make it so that anybody can have a good time.
More games in general doing that has been nice, having very specific like difficulty sliders.
Yes.
Like they'll have like the presets, like, oh, tweak like enemy health or da-da-da-da.
As long as I can go in and take the puzzle difficulty all the way down or just get rid of them.
There's a really neat accessibility feature in Ubisoft's other game, Avatar: Frontiers of Pandora.
Oh, the new.
You played that?
Is there one that lets you turn the Navi off?
It actually, I think, allows it so that it removes the tinnitus sound from explosives.
Oh, that's good.
That's good.
I thought it was gonna be like you know how there's arachnophobia modes.
It removes the blue
people.
It removes the blue people.
Yeah.
Oh, fuck.
The other thing, I'll just like capstone this a bit, but the other thing that I thought was really cool about the Prince of Persia one, and it's like you only use it once, mainly in the demo, but there's this feature where it's like a snapshot thing, where you press down on the D-pad and it takes an automatic it takes a screenshot of the game, but then puts it onto your map.
Yep.
So then you can look at your map, and then you'll see like where you've taken screenshots and see the image of the map. So like if you need to do backtracking, or if there's like a item you can't reach, you can look to your map and be like, what the fuck did I look at this? And then you look at the screenshot and you're like, oh shit, that's right. So it's this it's making you more involved with the mapping out and remembering where stuff is, instead of it just being on your map or having to like just keep that in the back of your mind. You can be like, oh, I should take a snapshot of this so I can come back to it.
It's also limited consumable, which I think is really interesting.
Yeah.
Everything. It's so strange how every decision they've taken is like, I don't know. It feels like, is this their first? No, they've done another Metroidvania in the past, I think, with music by that one Cœur de Pirate. I don't remember what that game was. Child of Light. Wasn't that a Metroidvania? Either way, who cares? This game looks great.
Yeah.
It has an Akira slide also.
It does have an Akira slide. I think we'll move on to the next thing, and I think Mandy, you wanted to talk about Thief.
Yeah, actually, I will say one neat thing Prince of Persia had, because I saw, I haven't played the demo, but I saw they have a feature where you can mark on the map by taking a screenshot of the area.
We just said that.
Did you? What the fuck?
We literally just said that.
That's what we were just talking about.
I thought was my brain fucking melting?
Oh my god.
We just talked about that.
Just talked about that. Oh my god, man.
My brain just stopped. Oh my god.
Yeah.
I was literally listening to talk about it and went, oh yeah, that map was cool. But I framed it as, cut all of it, fuck it. Anyways,
Thief. Let's talk about Thief modding.
Yeah, so after 8-ish years of development, a fan campaign for Thief came out called Thief the Black Parade, and it won Mod of the Year, rightfully so, on ModDB, because they took everything that made Thief great and they made a super big campaign out of it that's it took me about 20-ish hours to beat, but it could take people longer or shorter.
What? 20
just
hours?
To put it into perspective, Mandy, can you just what is the length of the original campaign for Thief?
You can
around about.
I would say the regional might be, if you're, it's hard to tell because if you're new, you can explore a lot, but I'd say maybe 15 hours. It is a much, and I'm saying this took me 20 hours as someone who has played a lot of Thief.
Yeah.
So this could easily be a much longer game for more people.
On howlongtobeat.com, it says that Thief Gold, I don't know what the difference is between Gold and the other one.
It has the 3 more levels.
Oh, okay. It says that most play styles finish around 24, 25 hours.
Yeah. Okay, then Black Parade might be like a 35 to 40 hour game for most people.
Fucking insanely long. Holy crap.
Yeah, it's the Thief sequel everybody was waiting for, pretty much. Like,
yeah. The maps are fucking enormous. Like, you think, oh, this must be the end of it, and it keeps going and going and going.
Yeah.
Which, when the game looks like it's from 1998, is a very surreal feeling. But it also kind of takes you back to being lost in games in a very fun way.
The Thief, was it Dark Project, the first one?
Yeah, Gold is just a expansion for it that adds some levels and tweaks some things around.
Did it come out with the map editors and all that? Because I know it was pretty popular to do that back in the day.
I don't remember if that came with Gold, but yeah, the Thief map editors are... This was also made in the original Thief map editor, but it's also a fucking nightmare to work with.
Yeah, I'm not fucking surprised. Especially a lot of the times when you look at these like new mods or like these fan mods that are fucking crazy for really old games, they always figure out a way to make levels and stages that are like mind-blowing. Like what's the Blood mod, the one that's fucking crazy?
Oh, right.
Man,
shit, I know what you're talking about.
It's so good. Like
Extra Crispy?
No, Extra Crispy is a difficulty. Death Wish for Blood.
Oh, I haven't played Death Wish. Okay.
You've never played Death Wish?
I have not played Death Wish for Blood.
Holy shit, you gotta play it. It's great. You look at what that dude accomplished with just the basic editor. Oh my god. Insane.
Yeah, I'm looking at screenshots now. Like, some of this art is nuts.
Like, there are insane ones for Elder Scrolls 2, but then you go, okay, they released the Morrowind construction kit in like 2003, and every Bethesda game editor and every game, I guess, has been that just tweaked more in a direction. So people have gotten very, very experienced working with that.
Yeah.
Whereas something like Thief Dramed looks like fucking this. I posted a screenshot and press start turbo. That was like they were posting the
it's just the wireframe.
So the Black Parade developers were posting what it looks like.
Oh my god.
And the maps look nearly incomprehensible.
Yeah, no, dude, they those dudes are fucking crazy.
It's like a fucking screensaver for Windows 98 with all the
and
tubes.
Again, that is for a normal Thief level. This is what Black Parade looks like inside of it. Because the maps are so huge.
I'm looking into the grid.
Oh my god.
It looks like staring into the Matrix.
Grid.
Yeah.
I'm starting to actualize.
How big was the team? Do you know, Mandy?
It was, I believe, 10 people. One of the leads for it is now a level designer at Arcane.
That's cool. That's really cool.
He's been working there for about a year or two, I believe, but he's been in like the Thief community forever.
Was it Arcane Austin or Arcane?
Arcane Leon.
Oh.
So
he's working on the Blade game.
Blade.
Let's go! Yeah. Excited as hell for that game.
I hope Blade has a billy club and then he hits a vampire on the back of a head with it.
I'm really interested to see that Blade game, honestly.
Yeah.
Because it's such a strange combination of Arcane working on a Blade game.
I'm just happy they can get... Well, I was going to say Redemption for another vampire game, but
Redfall.
that was the
medicine
Austin.
vampire game.
Austin.
Yeah, that was Austin, not Leon.
And Skaki seems like happy to be working on Blade. Whereas everyone who's come out who like had worked on Redfall said they were basically mandated to and that it was miserable.
Yeah.
Imagine working on Prey and then...
Also, imagine working on Redfall and you know that your sister studio somewhere is starting pre-production on a Blade game.
Oh, dude.
Yeah. That's gotta feel shit.
The pain you feel.
Speaking of pain, there have been another round of layoffs that have hit the industry. Both Discord and Unity in these past 2 weeks has been hit with large-scale layoffs. Discord's being 17% of their staff. And then I think Unity is laying off 25%.
25%. I mean, shit.
For Unity,
man.
yes.
I mean, I'm sure everything that happened with Unity, like asking for insane amounts of money from developers to release a game. I'm sure that had a lot to do with their layoffs, I'd assume.
Yes.
I do wonder how many because I know a lot of devs literally went, fuck the project we're working on, we're just going to switch to a new engine, which is unprecedented. That's crazy.
Oh yeah, and absolutely everyone who was fired had nothing to do with it.
Oh yeah, no, I mean, it never has anything to do with the workers. You know, like the shitty decisions are always at the top.
So it's fucking John, whatever the dude who ran EA for years and years, ran it into the ground.
John Riccatello.
Yeah. Is it Riccatello or Rishitello? Because I think it's an Italian last name.
I always hear it pronounced Riccatello.
Okay.
So
I've
that's
always
what I
heard
just...
Riccatello as well.
But yeah, he's gone though. So if this is the after effects of that, then
it's kind of late.
I guess it's late. But I also see it as being parallel to the stock price, I believe, of the Unity going up as soon as these layoffs were announced by like 5%, I think, or something like that. So it's to do with, they want to... It's return on investment and like, they want to recoup some of the lost costs from their massive fucking faux pas that happened with the Unity shit that happened last year.
Yeah.
With their install fees. 1,800 employees at Unity.
1,000?
Jesus.
Yeah, 25% of their staff.
Oh my God, that's insane.
It's a massive layoff.
Because for Discord, 17% was 170 people, and that's huge. 1,000 people is crazy.
I wonder if then that's part of like the kind of post-COVID mass layoffs we've been seeing then, where the number was fucking insane that year and people really overstretched.
I think Twitch also had some layoffs. They had about 500 recently as well, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Twitch has been affected by it as well. They're still claiming it's unprofitable. There's rumblings I hear about Twitch Prime's going away at some point, which would be a huge blow for streamers on Twitch.
That'd be strange with how, because the price of Prime has gone up a little bit more every year, which most people aren't getting it for Twitch Prime, obviously, but
yes, that
is about half the cash value of it now, because I think Prime's $120-$130. And I guess if you paid someone your Prime sub every month, which is $5 value, that's about $60. Even though that's still kind of in the Twitch ecosystem, I guess. But
if I was to read the tea leaves, I would assume that they're going to be switching the Prime subscription to a Turbo subscription.
What is that?
So Twitch Turbo is a specific thing to Twitch. It costs more, but you get ad free on Twitch.
Okay.
My guess is that
that makes sense.
I think if they were to do anything, they wouldn't get rid of it wholesale. They would just switch it from being something bundled with your Prime subscription, where you get a bunch of other stuff that you're getting already, to something specific to Twitch to try and drive revenue that way, rather than have it just be like, oh, we're just giving away $5 a month to all Twitch streamers.
Yeah, basically they want to have the separation. You think they want to have the separation between Amazon and Twitch instead of it just being
my guess is that they just want to make more money, as always.
You're right.
I mean, an ad-free is a much more convenient way of doing it, I guess. Like, I've tried to turn off ads on streaming before, but they're enabling them by default more and more, or just like you can't do anything about them. Yeah. So it's like, fuck.
Even on YouTube streaming, like you have to turn it off every time you start streaming almost. It's fucking annoying as hell.
Just as like an anecdote on the Discord layoff as well. I saw on TikTok the day it was happening, this lady doing a get ready with me as she prepares for the meeting where she thinks she's going to be laid off. And it might be like one of the most like weirdly harrowing things I've seen in like dystopian in a weird way. Cause she's like just doing like kind of influencer voice, and she's very preppy, but she's also talking about how she just bought a house and how much turmoil she's going to be in if she loses her job. And, it was like,
that? What?
It wasn't a stream. It was just a edited TikTok of her like putting makeup on, talking about how she thinks she's going to be like laid off. Everybody's expecting it, and then she gets laid off in a thing. Wow. And she's like talking about how fucked she is, and it's like, oh my god,
that's so dystopian. I don't even know how to react to that. That's so.
I know. I didn't know either. I was like taken aback.
On TikTok.
On TikTok. Yeah,
that's so weird. Okay. because we're only focusing on Discord and Unity, but it's also affected like
a lot of people move for those jobs.
What was it?
Yeah,
Epic Games, EA, Naughty Dog, like those are. Naughty Dog was a big one I remember because of them canceling what's it fucking called?
Last of Us
multiplayer. Yeah, that was a big one for a bit.
That multiplayer mode was fun for Last of Us, but I guess they were trying to make like an ongoing thing or something like that.
Yeah, it was supposed to be a live
service.
Yeah,
yes,
that's
and
it.
then they got Bungie to come by to check their work, and Bungie was like, Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Really? I didn't know about that part.
Yeah,
but Bungie came by and said the game was not good.
The game was like, this real bad.
They're like, it doesn't have legs. But I mean, it's a wider change in the industry where I feel people are pulling away from live service because it's just not. It's it's either you're Fortnite or you're nothing.
I mean, I don't know. There's too many game passes, not enough time in the world.
Yeah. Again, I mean, all of these layoffs are affecting staff that had nothing to do with the reason why these companies aren't making money, and the people who's actually make the decisions on that are just fine. They don't have to face any consequences like their workforces do, who have moved out to San Francisco or wherever with like insane rents that they're having to pay for, and now they're having to look for other jobs.
A lot of places nowadays are done with remote. Unfortunately, a lot of my programmers friends, that's all I hear them talk about recently when we go out. It's like a lot of places are just like they want you to have at least 1 or 2 days
back to the office because we're paying the rent for the office, so we need to be able to have an excuse to use the rent for the office.
Actually, that makes a lot of that.
I'm stupid. People work better when they're in a fucking cubicle instead of at home. You get distracted at home. You could be like nice and peaceful. What are you, stupid? You want to be at home? What are you, dumb?
You could be
if a cat jumps on your lap, you're like 5% less efficient.
You will get a demerit if you have to feed your child. I'm so sorry, Barbara.
Please don't look at the studies showing how many sectors have had much more efficient work at home groups.
Please don't look at it, please.
I'm not surprised by that at all.
Depends on the sector, but a lot of them have. They said, oh yeah, we moved people to work from home. Our efficiency actually went up by a significant percentage.
Mm-hmm. Damn.
All right, I feel like we should move on to the biggest story that has come out these last few weeks, and that would be AI in video games, and specifically voice acting.
Sorry. I'm so fucking tired.
So the only ones I know about were the Prince of Persia text-to-speech, but that was a mistake. That's a placeholder.
That's a mistake. And it's not AI.
No, that's
like
just
TikTok
text-to-speech.
voice. The TikTok voice be like,
Mr. Prince, are you ready to wield the power of the sand?
I mean, most pre-release games have like text-to-speach placeholder, which is very funny if you've ever seen them.
Sopranos Road to Respect has a blooper reel inside the game with text-to-speech in it.
Really?
Yeah, it's got placeholder text in the blooper reel.
That's a really weird thing to just bring up. Why do you know that about Sopranos?
Yeah. I mean, talking about that stuff, that game is buried in my backyard, so I don't know.
Oh, yeah, it actually is buried in my
Sopranos
backyard.
Road to Respect is buried in my backyard. James Gandolfini is never going to get the gabagool.
But yeah, there's been a few stories that have come out around AI and video games. There have been a lot of companies using AI in their promotional art. Apex Legends has been called out for in their trailers. There seems to be like
trailers.
AI. Yeah, for videos, there's like parts of it that look like AI have made them. I'll put it in the image here.
Are you talking about like animation?
Yeah, animation. Look up. I put it in gaming news. You should be able to see, but there's like circles. You can see like the fingers are doubling.
Lady, your fingers.
The nose is like weird. There's like aspects to it that people are like, this looks like AI. I don't know. Wizards of the Coast.
Wizards of the Coast for sure use AI.
For sure.
They're not even fucking.
They responded to it and admitted to it. But originally they were denying it because what they had done is they'd outsourced because they had a bunch of layoffs earlier last year.
Yeah.
They started outsourcing a lot of their art for promotional work to, like contractors and stuff like that. And apparently this contractor used AI for their art, and Wizards of the Coast claimed to have not known anything about it.
I mean,
but it's still like another example of it.
Like if the person who hires out for fucking graphic design work, they probably don't have the eye for it, like for seeing AI. So I guess
the problem was they, instead of going to internals going, hey, we should check this out, they went on social media and went, this is not AI. And so I saw artists who I know who have worked with Wizards saying like, hey, if you keep treating us like we're fucking idiots, I'm not working with you guys anymore because I can clearly tell this is AI and you're saying it's not.
Yeah. That's strangely what happened with Wacom. I don't know how to fucking whack him.
I don't know.
Whack him, smack him. There was a whole stink about them using AI, and they deadass didn't know because they actually didn't know because there's a problem right now with Adobe Stock. Adobe Stock is a service that Adobe, the company who makes Photoshop, where like they have this service where you can go in and buy stock images, stock footage, a bunch like stock drawings, like a bunch of stuff like that. And there's a fuck ton of AI art on Adobe stock images, and even if you filter, like even if you're browsing through the Adobe stock and you filter out AI art and you say I don't want to see AI art, people don't tag their stuff correctly, so a lot of the AI art that is thrown on Adobe stock basically gets thrown in with actual art. So that's how it happened to Wacom, whatever. Wacom. And I'm sure we're going to see that happen a lot more because if there's any fucking company that just does not care about quality assurance, it's Adobe.
Mm-hmm. Well, they're introducing AI stuff into their editing software and Photoshop.
I know that Audition is getting some AI stuff. Remember when they did that one thing where they used Obama's voice to say like silly things and everybody
Adobe did?
It's a while back. They used Obama's voice to say like silly goofy things like get me my sandwich, or I don't fucking remember, like stupid shit. And everybody at that one Adobe convention was like, ha ha ha, so funny. And the rest of the world was horrified because of what you could potentially do with that.
And within weeks, he was playing Fortnite.
Within weeks, no! Now SpongeBob's rapping about the Krusty Krab on Spotify. I'm so tired. It's everywhere.
Oh, but it's so funny.
He's really good at rapping about the Krusty Krab.
He's really good. He says some crazy shit. He drinks lean with Sandy. I'm so tired of those AI SpongeBob rap videos. Somebody fucking save me.
Speaking of AI voice acting, the other big story that came out about AI in games is the SAG-AFTRA's specific deal with a company called Replica AI. This was a contract, or not a contract, I believe. Specifically, it's not like a collective agreement or anything like that, so it's not broad in its reach. It's only with this specific company, but it's defining the rules and the way in which voice actors would have protection when working with this specific company. There was a lot of backlash to this. Especially from voice actors, unsurprisingly, I would say, because it's opening the doors to broader acceptance of AI voice acting, especially in video games, which is kind of worrying, especially if that's your livelihood.
AI for video game development's inevitable, though, at this point.
Of course.
Like, for prototyping and stuff, people are like, oh, if you're making background objects, that's going to happen. If they might replace text-to-speech placeholders with like a more AI placeholder, which again, that might be trickier if you to get that out in time, because Prince of Persia text-to-speech is a noticeable flub. Yeah. Whereas if you have like an actor's something thrown in there temporarily, that might be harder to catch when they're swapping stuff out.
Didn't the finals also say that the AI voice acting they had in the game at launch was supposed to be like
placeholder? I don't know. I thought that was just it for them.
Is that it? I don't fucking know. It's so confusing because people say that it's gone, but then I heard that the AI voice acting is still in the game, and I'm just super confused, and I'm just not sure who's saying the right thing. That's another thing. A lot of this info is all fucking from Twitter, and Twitter is just constantly running around and screaming.
Well, it's like Brendan was saying when we were watching The Happening. The problem is something could just be really fucking badly done now, and people will say AI.
Yeah, it's like with certain like writing. I mean, art is way more obvious, but with like writing and voice acting, there are tells that if you're more educated, you might be like, oh, like I can definitely tell this is like AI writing or AI voice acting. But sometimes it's like a bad performance or just a human writing something horrible. However, I think the hardest thing to parse is probably AI writing. AI voice acting and images, I think, are still pretty easy to tell, hey, this is AI.
Speaking of how easy it is to tell when it's voice acting, where's the example from Replica, the company Replica? On their website, they actually have a voice library that you can listen to snippets of characters that you could potentially make, like the American Miscreant or Gray the Scottish Blacksmith.
So it's like original characters they've made that you can like.
You can just like you can just have a listen to what they sound like, and I mean we'll just play a snippet real quick right here.
So like, get this. My dad said he would cut me off if I don't like get a job. I mean, like, seriously, doesn't he know how hard I already work?
Oh my God, I'm listening to The American Girl, Kaylee, and it's like,
it's so bad, dude.
My dad said that I could, and then when I could, and then when I could. I am definitely not a robot. Do not believe the lies.
Yeah, Kaylee's bad.
My concerns and my problems with this is that voice acting is an art, and it says something about the people who are doing it and the people who are making it. It like they bring everybody who individually comes in and voice records and does like voice acting, brings part of themselves to it and also changes it up. I think that's like what part of the parts that make the stuff in Spider-Man 2, or where there are like kind of improv scenes for like random NPCs talking, so amazing is that it's like you can really feel the personalities and stuff like that. And this takes away from that. And in a way, it like, even if it gets to the point where it's like indistinguishable, it's really just, all it's doing is taking jobs away from voice actors in a lot of ways.
Let's be real, that's the point.
Yeah.
Like there's nothing else to it. That's obviously just the point of this whole thing.
But people will point to it being like a extension of technology, or that, you know, you can do things with AI that you couldn't otherwise do, like I guess the MMO example where, you know, you've got a quest coming out every fucking day or some shit, and you want to have random dialogue for it, or like write dialogue for it and then have it be voice acted. That's like impossible
AI
to do.
feeds the hunger. AI feeds the hunger for people of never-ending content.
Exactly.
I remember when AI Seinfeld was on Twitch, and I was like, this is funny. This is really funny. And then I read an interview from the creators that were like, yeah, we kind of just want to create this thing where it's your favorite characters and your favorite show.
Your favorite show never ends.
Ever and ever and ever. And it's like, I mean, that's the way that like fucking big businesses want to go with it. You look at TikTok, you look at YouTube Shorts, Instagram Reels, Facebook Reels, and it's like
you're
they want you
basically a pig, and
you're daddy's little swollen pig, and you want to rattle around in the mud, and they're taking your nice mud away and replacing it with cheaper mud.
You're in that trough just fucking eating like a little fucking pig, all that slop.
But it's still mud.
You look at your slop. It's not slop, it's sand. You've been eating sand. You're the Prince of Persia. You're the pig of
That's
Persia.
the sand of time. That's the sand of time.
Because from production like MMOs, it's like you would say, okay, we had no budget to do voices for these background people. And we would have never had a voice budget for this anyways. So it's just, we're going to text to speech it. So there'll be random barks of the blacksmith going like, you want work today? Got me 10 leaves from the garden. And just nonsense like that. Which is like, you think about that, it's like, okay, it's like a nothing role fair. But then that does feed into the job thing, because a lot of entry level stuff for voice acting is being a dude who shouts, get 5 leaves here.
Exactly. People cut their teeth on doing random barks for NPCs that don't matter.
Yeah.
That's how voice actors get their start in these major games.
You have
And
something on a resume.
And it's not like they get paid that fucking much.
Oh, no, you
get
got, like-
fuck no.
They
you
get
get
paid like
you get maybe
shit,
$100, but you get to put on your resume, I did a voice in whatever, in Black Desert Online.
Is AI like how much is one voice? I'm sure it's cheaper. Actually, there's no way it's not cheaper.
The specific deal that SAG-AFTRA is doing, it looked like the parameters were pretty decent for pay and compensation for doing recording for like a AI voice. And then it has like time limits and stuff like that. But again, it's still just working
It's opening such a bad door.
It's opening a bad door, and it's reducing the amount of people who are let in it. Because why am I hiring Troy Baker and 20 other voice actors when I can hire Troy Baker,
Nobody else,
and then change his voice a shit ton of times so that he's doing all of the random bark as well, and also doing like he's like I hire 5 people instead of 50, and they all like do you guys remember Watch Dogs Legion? I think it was called. They I don't think they did AI voice for it, but
No,
they
it'd be
did.
too early.
The way that game works is like you can play any of the NPCs.
Yeah.
And what they did is they got a bunch of voice actors, they got them to do different accents, and then they would modulate pitch and tone to make them sound like slightly different. Like there'll be like a higher pitched Scottish person or a lower pitched,
Oh, like one of the NPCs I got when I played it, where it was like, "Hey, let me help you out." Hey.
Sheep games have done that forever.
Exactly. But like a game like that now, you wouldn't need as many voice actors as they did. Like their thing wasn't great. You could tell.
Yeah.
But they wouldn't need as many voice actors with AI.
Dragon's dogma ass. Well, welcome to the business.
How are you today? I love helping you.
It is weak to fire.
What, something you're doing? Yes, my lord. Job's done.
I do. I was thinking the same thing.
But like that's mad. That line is magic and it's memorable because it is still performed by a person, even how silly it is.
All I'm saying
It's
is
so
a robot
fucking
not
bad.
say job's
Oh
done.
yeah. But like if I'm
For
getting
real.
robots to say jobs done, like
There's
and that's
no
what we're
personality
like.
there.
There's nothing there.
Get me a
It wouldn't be
fucking-
as like memorable.
Give me
I
a
don't know.
fucking AI to say jobs done with as much fucking personality as that. Holy shit.
There is no way.
That's
Yeah,
such a
like
good example of a line that's so dumbass simple and so memorable. dude.
literally, AI would never give you. Whoa.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
I was saying Wololo. Yeah, you fucking type Wololo in a fucking AI prompt.
Wololo.
It's not gonna give you Wololo.
But they won't care.
Wololo.
Like if this SAG deal goes through, it's more like, are we going to see
Oh, it
the
has.
rise of non-union foreign voice acting and along with AI?
The SAG deal's already gone through because it's not a collective agreement, so they don't need to vote on it.
Right.
They basically the heads of the union just get to like, we're making a specific deal with these people for SAG members. If they want to go work for Replica, they have to work under our specific deal. It's not a collective agreement, so not every SAG member has to, like not every company working with a SAG employee has to follow the rules.
Gotcha.
It's just this one company.
Because they will always
but
find a way to cheap out. They will always find the cheapest route possible.
Yes. I don't like the precedent it's setting where this is becoming like a normalized thing, but also it's hard to...
especially after what they were fighting for, the whole strike, and then
Yes.
they say,
Well-
oh, but this one's okay.
No, but there's issues even with that, Billy. When the deal was done, a lot of the AI stuff was actually left out of the final contract, and a lot of actors and advocates were pretty unhappy with that. But that's a whole different conversation.
Yeah,
but yeah, it's. I mean, I guess the best you can hope for is like some of the legislation that's coming through around voice replicas and stuff like that. Because the issue that this is going to affect is it's not going to affect the massive voice actors of the world. It's going to affect the up and coming people,
guys.
the names you don't know yet, and their ability to find these entry level jobs, and even like. They could have their voice stolen, and there isn't really a lot of recourse for it. Like, they don't have the money to send thousands of cease and desists to these random websites stealing their voice. They don't have the access to that kind of...
Copywriting a voice.
Getting to the point where we even have to think about copywriting a voice is fucking crazy.
Well, what it's going to take is there was going to need to be some kind of huge political scandal explosion that turns out to be AI before any sort of something goes through with it. There's going to be something that gets around enough that turns out to be AI before they really give a shit.
And that's the problem is,
and that won't end it anyways.
No, and government moves slow.
And you think that Fortnite Obama was going to start the revolution? Fuck no.
Oh, we gotta drop a couple. Need to get a couple chug jugs.
See, that's way funnier than any AI fucking version of Barack Obama. We're ruining impressions.
Yeah, I'm gonna be dropping a tilted and just gonna be getting a couple chug splashes.
I've seen people do fun things, but it's just usually the ones doing it there's humanity behind it compared to they want it to be a content machine.
Yeah.
Like when AI president voices came out, there are about 5 million different Obama playing Fortnite ones. And I've seen one that was funny because it was scripted by a human being. And it's like, oh, this is someone who actually knows how to write and is using this. But it's like, it's not going to be used that way. No. It's like Brendan said, it's going to be used
They're going to ask ChatGPT to say, to make a fucking prompt. They're going to take that prompt, give it to the AI fucking voice actor. It's going to be
the only good one of those I've ever seen was a toothbrush cover of Imagine Dragons Thunder.
Toothbrush?
Toothbrush cover? Oh my god.
It just sounds like someone brushing their teeth, but to the tone of Imagine Dragons Thunder.
That's so stupid. Why? Why is that a voice actor? Why is that a fucking AI voice fucking brushing their teeth?
Really funny, though.
It's pretty funny.
Stupid.
It's the only one that like I'm like, okay, I guess it's not like, fucking Mario or whoever doing a song, which is like so stupid.
There was a what was it? It was the sound of a tractor engine singing 9 to 5, so it was just like I was like, okay, all right.
Well.
I mean,
so it's a shame that in a perfect world AI is so fun. Like people have made very fun stuff with it, but now it's there's people making money off it. Really,
you have a world where the uncreative thing is making the creative works, and the creative people are there to do the uncreative work. It's insane.
It's so depressing.
Art
You're
is
taking
dying.
the art out of art.
Yeah, no, like we're actually seeing art die. Like, oh man, this is really dark. This is a dark brain moment, but I feel like a lot of people who work in art, like we have a lot of artist friends who like they draw, they make music, all that, and pretty much everybody is echoing the same sentiment of holy shit, we're watching art die in real time and it's fucking depressing.
It's just they're you're taking the livelihood away from people being able to do what they want, and that just means do art, and that just means you're going to see less and less real art because it's more efficient and more the shareholders are going to make more money if we don't have to pay
you guys have no idea like how many AI, like I was joking earlier about AI SpongeBob rap. You have no idea how much AI music there already is on Spotify, and they do not give a shit, and these songs get recommended on people's like Discover Weeklies, and they get stupid amounts of plays.
I remember hearing there was like a fake Gorillaz song that came out a while back, and they had to like step in because it wasn't them.
Yeah,
or something like that.
Record labels are going to make sure. Because
because they're extremely fucking litigious.
The other thing about AI too is we're like at the tail end of the Wild West of it, where like litigation has not yet to start.
Yeah, well, there's no case study for any of this shit.
Because once you start stepping on music labels' toes, they're going to get...
music labels are fucking rats. They're awful. They're going to go for the throat, which is good.
That's like people going like, oh, I can't stop you, but he can. And it's like evil fucking music label. It's like, sure.
Well, yeah. It's like fucking the epic lawsuit with Apple, where like, I hate both of these companies, but also...
They're going to eat each other alive.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
This should probably be happening.
Yeah.
Well. Oh, well. Fun times.
Yeah.
It's fine because AI is inherently incestuous. Like
AI is going to feed AI is going to feed AI is going to feed AI.
Well, that happened they've had to like reset a few models because people were uploading their AI work under non-AI stuff and it was using that to train it again. And then the images are becoming more and more fucked up.
I am all for the Ouroboros of AI eating itself.
But it's like those models can always be reset. So it's like if you're targeting a voice or something, you'll be fucking fine. It's people trying to blanket make stuff that are those ones will get trickier.
Oh man. How depressing. I have hope that we will see the death of it, or at least the death of the abuse of it.
It's never going away.
It's never going away.
It's going to stay. I just hope that the abuse, like, is right now it's easy to abuse it. I just hope that, I have hope that stuff happens, anything happens to make it less abusable. Because right now it is rough. Because they're like any tool or anything any new technology, there are legitimate use cases for AI. I know of a few. I know teachers are starting to use it for lesson plans, which is a really smart utilization of it because that is just a rote thing that you do. It's not the actual like human part that you're adding to it, which is the teaching. It is the like layout and planning for this kind of stuff. It's where you're trying to replace the human element of any kind of work or art. AI should be used for like replacing tedium, not replacing the human.
Well, that was the dream of it, was that, hey, robots can work in the factories and make stuff all day while we get to lay around and be creative.
What happened to that?
But
what happened to that?
They've turned the creativity into the part that is making them the most amount of money. And
which is crazy because creativity is like the one thing that is irreplaceable.
Yeah.
Art is so like, we put such an importance on art in culture, in our fucking lives, and that's the first thing we want to replace.
Well, it's like we were saying about how there's tons of AI stuff, like the SpongeBob Raptor or whatever, and like, oh, there's one dude who really does it well, or because they have like a group of human people working on it. The problem is that AI has given a lot of uncreative people a very easy way to feel like they're being creative.
Yeah.
It literally is the press the make thing button.
Yeah. It's like,
in a lot of ways.
Like those SpongeBob raps, the AIs that took off, it's like, oh, a person clearly wrote the lyrics. Like he had a human being animate it. It's like, yeah, the voice is AI, but there's a lot of humanity behind it.
SpongeBob rap, the thing we're going with.
Because that's the best example compared to like presidents, because there's a billion of them out there. But the ones that took off was, oh, there was more behind it than just putting SpongeBob Kendrick Lamar into a machine. And so it's like, oh yeah, the ones that really blew up, there was effort behind it.
Actually, you guys are kind of just doomers. I think AI is fucking epic, and it's going to freaking be awesome when I can type in thing that I want and I get it immediately.
Is that fucking AI, Brendan? What the hell was that? Oh, fuck.
All right. I think that's a good place to end it, unless anyone else has got final thoughts. They wanted to express.
The box is open is my final thought.
If I say a single one of my thoughts, I'll get banned.
All right. With that, we're going to move on to the interview. Today with Brendan Hesse, we'll be talking about games journalism. And then after that, we're going to be talking about Disco Elysium.
Yippee! We love Disco Elysium.
All right, welcome to the interview portion for this episode of Press Start Turbo. Today we are joined by Brendan Hesse, video game journalist. You may know him from bylines in GameSpot, Wired, and EGM, or his YouTube channel, The Crawl, where you can find his documentary and more long-form content. Welcome to the episode, Brendan.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
No worries. I'm glad to have you here. Just to start off, I just wanted to get in, like, so people can know a bit more about you and just like your how you got started in games journalism. What was the catalyst for you, and how you started?
And when you explain it, make sure to explain it like you're explaining it to your mom at Christmas, you know? Because God knows I have no fucking clue how writing even works or how you even get bylines out.
Sure. Well, so, I mean, if you want to go to like what sparked my idea or like my goal to eventually like write about games professionally, it was when I was a kid reading like GamePro and PC Gamer and stuff. My dad used to like buy game magazines every once in a while, and so that was like I was like 8 or 9 when we first got a Nintendo 64, and so we got like Game Pros like once or twice a year just to look at what other games are out there. And that was where I really started to like, I think that was what planted the idea in my head. And then as I got older and kept reading those magazines, I was just always playing games, and I knew as a kid that I wanted to do something related to video games. It just kind of like, I guess naturally, because I was reading that stuff, it just was like, I'm going to write about games one day. And it was basically the only thing I wanted to do growing up. Like even in school, I would like write video game reviews for like homework projects whenever I could.
Dude, that's awesome.
Yeah. So, when I was in high school, I started like experimenting with podcasts and trying to do like videos and stuff like that. I was really into Mega 64. So like I kind of wanted to do like a podcast like they did. Of course, it was terrible, and it was just like, I'm glad it doesn't exist anywhere because it was just awful. But that sort of thing really propelled me to want to go into college and like do journalism, a journalism degree and that sort of thing. And when I was in college, I just started like pitching places, which is kind of like how pretty much everyone gets started, is like you might be blogging on your own or whatever, but if you want to get published, you pitch to outlets. And I was like writing for these little music blogs and stuff, just covering like heavy metal albums, and that was kind of how I get started. It was like getting paid to write was writing about metal reviews and stuff like that. And it wasn't until like just out of college, I graduated in March of 2015, and I immediately got a job I live in Portland, Oregon, and I got a job at Digital Trends, whose their main office is based out of Portland. And that was kind of like, ever since, like that was basically what landed me in the industry. And I was mostly started out like writing about like PC gaming tech and that sort of stuff. And over the last almost, what is it, like 8 years now, I've slowly transitioned to just really talking about the games themselves. But yeah, that's kind of like the truncated like resume, I guess. There's a lot of stuff in between there, but that's the long and the short of it, I guess.
I'm sure there is.
Yeah.
That's why it's impossible to tell your parents how any of this stuff works. I'm still trying to figure out how to explain YouTube to my parents, and honestly, I might keep it like a little secret.
That one, I think it strikes me as that's more difficult to explain, because I can tell my parents, I can be like, I write about the games, whatever. It's my grandparents that don't get it. My grandparents think that I'm like a political journalist, and like I'm out there like with a beat on the streets, like trying to get sources and like uncovering stuff. And they're like, you should write about this thing that happened in town. And it's like, no, that's like less than local news. I'm not going to talk about how they're building a bathroom at the park. Like that's not it. Anyway.
Yeah, it's interesting how the the evolution of what we consider as journalism has changed, especially like from the 70s onwards. And I think with like music journalism was like one of the big ones, where it started being more about general, like especially when you're looking at art as well. Like you look at it in more of a general way, and how we react to it and feel about it, rather than just like this happened.
Right. It's more in abstracts and like is that what you mean?
Yeah, more in abstracts, and more talking about the art form rather than just reporting specific things that have happened.
Yeah,
I guess. Right.
Yeah, it's the criticism of the stuff along with the news reports of whatever, like this game's coming out or these layoffs happened or whatever. It's all that kind of.
Yeah.
At the same time.
What was your inspiration? Because you've for the crawl, which I like, your background is like a more traditional media focused on the like outlets and stuff like that. But now you've got your own independent channel where you're doing documentaries and short form and long form content.
Yeah. So the crawl came about for a lot of different reasons. So my I went to school specifically for video journalism. It was like a 5-year video production, like specifically focused on documentary making degree.
Oh my God. Dude, that's so, I had the exact same thing happen before I landed music. I did video journalism as well. That's really wild.
Yeah. I mean, I wanted to like, at the time, since I was really focused on like music journalism at the time, I really wanted to do like, interview bands and make little mini documentaries about the bands and all that sort of thing. There was a YouTube channel that used to do it for like hardcore bands. And I saw one where they interviewed Jake Bannon of Converge, and it was just like in that moment, I was like, oh, I really want to do stuff like this.
Yeah.
And as I started doing more of that, like I should say I was doing a lot of that in college. And then when I got hired at Digital Trends, it was just all writing. And as time went on, it was like, okay, not only am I not using my video skills, I'm not really talking about games in the way that I want to, even when I'm writing for places like GameSpot or EGM.
Yeah.
I wasn't really doing the interviews, the documentary work that I really wanted to. And the reason I started the crawl actually originally was because I play a lot of like if you told me that there's a Japan only first person dungeon crawler that came out on the Sega Saturn, like
Buddy, I'm in.
that sounds like the greatest game in the world to me, right? And so that was kind of stuff I wanted to talk about on the crawl. And I started like tinkering around with making games, and I was kind of like putting all that on the channel. And eventually I was like, you know what? I'm just not getting the opportunities at work to like do video documentary type stuff. And so I just went for it on there. And that's kind of what I've been focused on over the last like year and a half or so is that sort of stuff. And so I guess the answer is it's what I've always wanted to do, and I never really had an opportunity to do it. So I just started doing it on my YouTube channel.
Mm-hmm.
When you say that there's not the opportunity with like your like traditional media places, is it that there's like this unwillingness to try these things? Like you pitch it and then they're or it's just more that like they're contracting you to do this specific task and this is what they want you to complete, and they don't really care about the other kind of stuff.
It's kind of the second thing, and actually it's kind of both. In my personal example of this, if I were to pitch an outlet and be like, hey, I want to write about again like a really obscure random game that is going to get no clicks, they're gonna say no, even if they're like, this sounds like an interesting story, but we just can't do it because we have to put our budget to the things that's gonna make the most money to make the people who own the website the happiest, right?
Right.
And so, so a lot of those opportunities just weren't really happening there. And then on top of that, the things that I do, like the stuff that I get hired to do, it's very specific. It's usually writing focused. I'm not an editor at these publications, or even currently, I'm not a staffed salaried position. I'm a freelancer. I write for a lot of different places. They're commissioning me on one or two pieces to, every once in a while, or I'm doing like one very specific thing all the time. So I don't have the freedom to be like, hey, what if instead of writing for the next month, I just made a documentary for you guys? That's a big, like, first of all, it'd be a huge ask for anybody, but it's a huge hurdle for someone in a freelance situation like me. I don't think I've ever really heard of stuff like, unless you get hired to be a freelance video producer. That stuff doesn't exist. And at the time I didn't have like a portfolio or anything of video work. So like even pitching that sort of stuff just was not, it was just completely out of the question.
I find that interesting because it's with the landscape of game journalism, there's, I think, been a strong tilt towards video as a medium. Especially for conveying like information or just the way in which people consume. There's a lot less relative to, whatever, 2004 or whenever you want to set it, but there's relatively a lot less people reading articles and a lot more people watching videos. So I find it interesting to hear that it's like not as prevalent. But I do want to get back to just the difference between you've talked about it before, but the freelancer and then the staff writer, which I think there's been a trend in the industry to focus more on the freelance rather than the actual staff writers. There's a lot fewer than there were previously.
Yes.
And which I mean, you might want to expand more on just for people.
Sure. Well, so the reason I am a freelancer is because in 2018, Digital Trends had a huge round of layoffs. I was like one of 11 writers and editors who were let go, and they kind of pivoted to a different a different strategy, and then ultimately pivoted back to what they were doing before and hired people that, now do my job that aren't me, but I'm not bitter, I promise. I'm just explaining the situation.
Yeah.
So ever since then, I've been freelancing, and that's pretty much the case. If you ask anyone who's been laid off over the last, 5 to 8 years, that tends to be what you do is you go and you unless you have it sounds like very nepotistic, but unless you have a really good relationship and an in at a publication, chances are you're just going to be out hitting the freelance, like the rest of us. And it's great for the people who make all the money because they can spend a lot less giving us, if you look at what I make per article at certain websites, someone would be like, dang, dude, you get $250 to write an article at this website. It's yeah, okay, but that might be the only work I do for 3-4 a whole week. That might be the only work I do. And $250 a week ain't cutting it. If I was a salaried, staff writer, I'd be, making a yearly amount that could potentially help me live. But freelance is so up and down. And because there's so many people who are trying to write and pitch places and get those freelance opportunities, many of whom have way more experience and way better portfolios than I do or other people like me, to say nothing of people who are just trying to start out, it's very competitive and can feel overwhelming. That's not to say that it's impossible or that to steer people away from it, because I'm sure we'll talk about it, but that's not how I feel. I actually feel like people should continue to go for it. But that's just the reality of where it is right now. And it's it's not a pretty picture, but at the same time, I have nothing against people who my colleagues or whatever. We're all in it together. We all tend to congratulate each other and build each other up. We're in the shit at the same time. So it's not about that. It's just more about the reality of the industry,
It's one of those things where, as a staff writer, you have a lot more benefits than someone who is a contract worker or a freelancer. You'll get paid time off, you'll have a steady income, you'll have benefits like health insurance, depending on where you are, etc. And then there's the idea of stability, which I think has cracked a lot in the recent years.
In creative circles, stability is just not a thing anymore for a lot of people.
Yeah, and it's just one of those things where that's how it's pitched to you, as when you're getting your job, you're going to go work for Game Informer, or you're going to go work for, recently, tenuous, but Rock, Paper, Shotgun, or whoever, right. And it's said to you that, this is, we've got, I think even there was a recent one where, oh God, I'm blanking on it, but there was it is Rock, Paper, Shotgun, but the idea is that they get bought out by a company that does PAX, and the PAX money is going to fund the game journalist thing, so we don't need to worry about how ad revenue is dying. We will be supported by the PAX money, and now they're selling all of their game journalism sites, and those jobs are looking tenuous at best, and it's this weird thing where it's and I think that's part of that trend with people who are being laid off in this industry not going back to staff writers, whether it be this of your ins in the industry and nepotism, which pervasive in almost every industry like this, is also just, I think, this feeling of you've been burned. Why would you put your hand in the oven again?
Well, and I mean, the layoffs are often the punctuation points on a long paragraph of infractions against people in these spaces, whether that be poor treatment of especially women in marginalized communities and that sort of thing, or just the sheer fact that people who especially who write for enthusiast press spaces, they get paid shit, they get really terrible benefits even if they're staff. So the layoffs, to your point about feeling burned, I mean, there have been multiple times where I was still employed at places where I felt like I was getting shafted. And it was never, I never felt, I knew it wasn't because of the editors or my fellow writers or whatever. It's always because of the money, right? And just the way that the systems that predated us work. And so I think I don't think I'm specifically answering your question, but
no, it's okay.
The point is just like, you're absolutely right in that, people, they go from, if they don't have, a really good landing point, or, like people like Aftermath just started recently, which is made by Gita Jackson and I forget everyone who's involved. I know
Nathan Grayson,
Luke
Plunkett,
Riley McLeod, Luke Plunkett, and these people were well-known people from Kotaku. I think Nathan was at Washington Post for a while, I believe.
Yeah, I think Gita Jackson was Waypoint.
Gita, they were at Waypoint and Motherboard, and so I mean, people who have been around, right? And they have a lot of clout. People know who they are. Same thing happened, way back in the day with the Kind of Funny guys, and even before that, the Giant Bomb guys, who they had a following. People knew who they were, so they go and they start something new. They have the ability to do that. But if the guy who's writing the deals posts on GameSpot, me, I might have like a decent number of followers on Twitter, but no one's reading my shit. Like no one's gonna come to the crawl and watch my stuff necessarily. So it's like I have to build up a new audience there. I don't have that ability to just go completely independent like other people do, and that's just the reality for like 99% of freelancers or people who are laid off or whatever.
It's this part where I wanted to bring up Aftermath and places like MinMax and Second Wind, who started by Yahtzee, and exactly that same thing of like these people who have pre-existing brands and clout that can take their audience with them because they're there for the audience, and maybe that's something or they're there for the audience is there for them, and that's something that these sites and people who own these sites might not necessarily understand. But it is that thing where not everyone is, a Yahtzee Crawshaw or a Nathan Grayson or whoever with this like pre-existing audience that will just follow them, and that's where these like pre-established media outlets have their place, because we wouldn't have a lot of these people without them, and they provide this really important starting point and building block to actually for game journalists to start out and hone their craft and build that audience in the first place. It's just that unfortunate reality of that it's run by people or owned by people who don't actually understand the thing that they own, and only really care about one thing about it, which is the profit.
I mean, and that's no secret, right? Like if you look at, I'm not revealing anything here. I used to write, or I still write for Lifehacker, who used to be owned by Geo Media, who they own Gizmodo and IO9, Kotaku, et cetera, et cetera. There's been tons of layoffs. They shut down Jezebel. There's all this other stuff. And you read why they did that. They're like, actually, I mean, everyone was making great stuff. They, we loved all this stuff, but because of, we just weren't getting enough ad revenue because that's what we care about. We don't care about good journalism. We care about making sure our advertisers are happy with the content that we're making. And that's the priority, to make sure that we're making the money. So we're going to lay off people. And we're like Patricia Hernandez, who was the EIC of Kotaku, has been very open about the fact, like, part of the reason that Patricia left was because of the constant pushback from Spanfeller and the other owners who were like, please stop writing about, political or social issues, because we don't, we want to appease everybody and make the most money we can. And Patricia was like, no, I'm not going to stop. And, to say whether you agree with Patricia or not, like the whole point of journalism, regardless of your viewpoint on any of it, is to report things like that. It's to talk about those things. And if you're stymied by advertising and people owning and the purse strings, that's a problem.
Yeah. Because I mean, a lot of these websites, the only way that they make money is off of advertising and sponsorships, isn't it? And a lot of time, because most people don't want to pay a subscription to read articles, so that makes it even more complicated for like game journalists. Because I feel I know a few like big like New York Post, New York Post? I don't remember. There's a bunch of like big newspapers that have subscriptions, and people will happily pay for that.
Yeah.
But gamers, I don't think they want to pay for fucking.
Well, I mean,
I can't even think of a website that does that.
It's I mean, Remap and Aftermath both do that now.
Okay.
And these are very like Remap is the X Waypoint folks. So Patrick Klepek and Rob Zachney.
Gotcha.
And their whole group. And then, we talked about Aftermath already. And I think it's an interesting model. It's something that I have always kind of assumed would happen. I honestly, like, Giant Bomb really was the blueprint for everybody, both from like, oh, hey, established journalists, they leave, they start their own thing, it's successful. That's, everyone started doing that. You mentioned MinMax, you could go rattle off a whole list of people that followed that example. On the other hand, it's sort of what Patreon does, right? Is that like, hey, I like this creator, I like this podcast, whatever, and I'm going to pay them to be a part of it. So I'm interested to see how it works out for those groups. I don't know their specific models. I know that they're not that expensive. So and people who want to read the work of those people, they will probably pay to do it. It's just it creates this weird thing where like not only do some people just not want to pay for it because you can read an article for free on thousands of websites. So why would you do it for money there? But also like the way that writing is treated just in general is kind of weird these days. It's a very like, you can just have AI do it, whatever, so.
Yeah. Oh boy.
And they have tried.
They always it's always funny when they get caught and they're immediately like, no, they just pull back like, no.
I know, it's absolutely like some of the shit they do is so bold. Like it's absolutely so bold. Like there was that one, where they were like making fake like author profiles or something like that.
I don't know if it was Kotaku, but
I can't remember. Well, I remember seeing that, and it was like appallingly stupid.
Yeah,
and they got caught, and they kept pushing back and being like, "No, we aren't. We're not doing it. What? No, we aren't."
Well,
and then people.
The recent one was Sports Illustrated.
That's the one I remember. I remember seeing that one.
Yeah, they. Under fake author names and AI generated profiles. It's like, fuck.
They invent fake sports. What is fake? What? I don't even know what Sports Illustrated is. It like, I always thought it was like swimsuits because of the swimsuit issues being like the most popular ones as a kid. So like, I don't even know what they're writing about.
It's like sports news and like, interviews
like,
and stuff.
How the hell could AI even write about this stuff? I can't.
Well,
sports are so complicated.
That's the thing, right? Is that at the end of the day, it's not writing. It's just it's a really sophisticated text completer. Like on your phone.
Yeah.
That's all it's really doing is just auto completing based on what other people have written. So I don't know. It's weird, and there is like some level of an existential angst over the idea of AI. The problem is it's seems so holistically rejected by not just like the writers and the editors and stuff, but like the people who read it too. Like people are like, this is stupid. Like I don't want to read a bunch of shit from an AI. Or they don't want to play a game with shitty AI art. And if you like AI art, more power to you. I just think like the majority of what I've seen, people seem disinterested in it, or at least, or even hostile to it. Well, and so
I've seen mostly hostility.
Yeah, so it's like
I think as humans we decided that we fucking hate robots or something.
In the short term, it's scary, like to be like, oh, someone could do someone really could. Just low key, someone could like make an AI that does what I do. It wouldn't do it as well, and it would be completely filled with errors, and it would it would be a mess. But they
at that
could
point,
do
they
it.
would have to just hire somebody on the cheap to just
And that's what they
fix
do.
everything. And yeah,
There was a job listing. It was like 2 or 3 months ago for gamers, GAMURS. They were trying to hire an AI
those guys.
editor who would edit like upwards of 50 to 100 posts a week that were generated by AI. So like they wanted to have an AI write a bunch of posts and then an editor come in and correct it. The problem is it takes almost as long to correct an incorrect and an improperly formatted, to say nothing of just flat out wrong article like that. Like
you'd have to just like rewrite the article if it's real fucked, you know?
This is something that was going on with the writer's strike. Part of their agreements with that was that was something that they wanted to do. They wanted to have AI write a script and then have a writer come through and then basically edit it, and then they could pay them less because they technically haven't written the script, regardless of how much work it would actually take to go through an AI written script, edit it, and make it like passable for like fucking a script, which would be probably honestly way more work than just writing the script. But I
mean, they don't see that. All they see is like, oh, I don't need to pay a writer right now.
I don't have to put their name on this.
Every
they don't
problem
own it
that they have is like just right in front of their face, and they don't think about what's coming after that. So they're just like, I can fix this right now, and they don't think about later they're gonna have to go back anyway.
It's all just a way to eschew labor rights and try and take take power away from the people actually doing the work and put it into the hands of the people who own everything.
Because it's the people who care about the work. Like those are the people that want you to be able to read good games journalism. They want reviews to be good. They want I know there's a lot
wants to do bad work.
Nobody wants to do bad work, and it's so disheartening how many people out there assume that games journalists are. There's so many different things, but one of the worst is like that we're like intentionally doing bad things, or like, why are you covering this random news article that no one cares about? It's like, well, it involves Fortnite, and Fortnite, everyone fucking clicks on it. So that's what my bosses make me,
also like, just because it's not for you doesn't mean it's not for somebody else.
That's very true as well.
It's really hard for people to just like think that there are other people in the world sometimes, especially on the internet where you're the main character.
Empathy is the solution to so many problems in the
world.
Know,
it's so true.
And
holy fuck.
And like I come from a background of lots of political theory, lots of labor rights theories, that sort of thing, but at the end of the day, the thing that like it all comes back to for me is like, just be fucking nice to people, treat them like humans.
Oh man.
And
it feels like it's so hard for some people.
Yeah, I mean, you have to create theoretical frameworks to get people to be like, oh, actually, you're right. Maybe it is good for people to be treated. But that's a whole different.
Oh man, we're going places.
I kind of want to get back onto the note because we're talking about the kind of the rise of these more independent outlets after in the wake of the mass layoffs that have hit the industry, and we kind of talked about it before, but like there is this at least seeming limiting factor to it that that Aftermath can only support to hire so many writers or Remap or whoever. Because they are these independent outlets, so they will never have the amount of capital and reach that a GameSpot has in order to like hire or have that entry level position. They can only really afford to hire people who are proven and all this other stuff. What do you see as like the way forward? I mean, this is a broad question and it's a hard one. But what do you see as like the way forward? Because to me, the way in which the industry is hitting at the moment is wholly unsustainable for these like larger outlets. What do you see as being like, I guess, the way forward?
I think that the safe bet is that it will be a lot of smaller walled garden type of situations like Aftermath. And you can include Min-Max, Kind of Funny, Game or Giant Bomb into all these as well, and places like them. I think that's the safe bet as far as like what I think should be done. That is a really difficult question to answer because it involves like talking about like the games industry doesn't exist in a vacuum, and games media doesn't exist in a vacuum, right? There are things outside of it that are affecting it. So, short of saying we need like a workers' revolt, nation globally wide, and even short of that, like I sincerely don't know. Like I think that it is unsustainable, and there's a lot of problems in these industries, and they're not the ones that people think. Like no one's getting paid for reviews or stuff like that. It's problems of like, people aren't getting paid enough. People aren't being like, they don't have a sustainable like job environment. They don't have a way forward. There's no upward trajectory. There is no old guard of games journalism. Like if you think about the people who have been doing this for a quote unquote long time, most of them are only a few years older than me. There may be, because I'm 33. So they're like, most of them are in, like, if they're an old guard, they're maybe 40. Right. And there's some people who are older than that, like Jeff Gerstmann. I think he's 50 or approaching 50. So there are people who are a bit older, right? But that's like, there's like 5 of them, right? That's crazy. If you go and you could line up a platoon of like veteran political reporters and veteran news and or music reporters, right? People who like were writing for Rolling Stones back in the 70s and stuff. That does not exist for games media. And that is a problem because without that sort of like legacy, like that legacy vanguard of sorts, you wind up repeating a lot of the same shit over and over again. You like the conversations that we are having about games and about how, what's the right way to review games, all this stuff. It just, the wheels keep spinning and no one moves forward. And so, anyway, I keep having these long-winded, rambly answers because there's so much to try and fit in. But like, the point is, I don't know. I don't know what we do next. I have a good idea that it will continue to splinter off into these smaller groups. How many of them survive? That's a different question. I mean, if their only aim is to be sustainable for like 3 to 6 people, okay, maybe some of them could make it work. But when you have like dozens of these, which you already do, but like as more of them, continue to crop up and you have more and more and more, like how many are going to have, like how many people are going to be subscribed to more than just 2 or 3 at a time? And like, that is a whole other, like the splintering of the audience is a whole other issue. There's a lot of problems. There's a lot of big questions to answer. And like, I don't know what the way forward is.
No, I don't think I could ask anyone who would have like a clear answer of that. But I just wanted to talk about the broader one. That idea of the old guard is really interesting though, because there isn't one for games journalism. They're just like anyone who was around during that early period, in the 2000s when the magazines were big, has kind of just gotten out of the industry. They've abandoned ship. They've seen the signs and they're like, I'm fucking jumping.
The pipeline seems to be if you were around in like the 90s and early 2000s to 2010s, like pretty much all of those people are like working as game developers or publishers or like maybe PR, or they are just completely out of the industry. Like they don't even work in games at all. So maybe they'll do something on the side or they'll blog or something, but like there's no established old guard. And what's also sucks is that there's also like I don't want to say a group because that implies that I'm thinking of specific people, but there's always kind of like a crowd of, so I mean the games industry is very cliquey. And games media is extremely cliquey too. And I'm not going to call anyone out specifically because I pretty much like all of my colleagues, even the people who like maybe there's a personality mismatch. I don't have ill will towards basically anyone in games media. Nevertheless, it's true that it's clicky. And if 1 or 2 clicks are in hiring positions, there's those clicks kind of tend to be who's in the main positions, I guess you would say. I'm trying to phrase this very diplomatically, so feel free to like completely chop it up or cut it out entirely.
It's totally good.
Basically, what I'm saying is, if you're not in the right clicks when they're in the hireable positions, like chances are like those people aren't gonna hire you. Is basically what I'm saying, or support you, or that sort of thing. And it might not be malicious. It might literally just be like, oh, this person is like working. I worked with this person for a long time. I know them better than this person. They have the exact same experience levels, so I'm gonna hire the person I know because I know I can trust them. And that's all. I don't think it's like nepotism isn't always. I feel like most of the time it's not malicious. It's just, well, I know this person and I can trust them, and it's familiar. I think that's pretty much all it is.
Especially if you're like someone who's going out on a limb, starting your own thing or whatever, and your money's involved, and like you're really fucking worried about that. Like, even if this unknown person has all the qualifications and the history that like would suit the position, you're probably going to go for the more familiar option just because it's more familiar and there's safe. Less variables and it's safe. Yes, it's the perception is that it's safer. Not that it is necessarily safer. It's just that is your own personal perception.
Yeah. I mean, and the problem there is that if the same 15 to 20 people are always the staffed positions, then there's hundreds of freelancers who have zero shot, right? Who are never getting into those positions. And as more places fold or have layoffs or, cut positions and never replace them, there are now fewer and fewer and fewer of those jobs to go around. And if they're like, again, they're going to the people who have an established relationship or an established portfolio at the very least. It's really weird and very, like I said, daunting and overwhelming. And I know that paints a really kind of dire picture, especially for people who, maybe you don't live in San Francisco or New York, which is like, that's kind of who gets hired right now is the people who live in San Francisco and New York. And there's a lot of that's because a lot of places have started kind of like easing up on their, oh yeah, we're cool with remote work. And maybe we're not as cool with remote work now. Never mind. Because, that's just how things are going. So, it's always a multifaceted issue, but that's another big problem that the games or the media is facing.
But Brendan, they looked at their productivity matrix and it said that workers are 2% more efficient working in office than outside of office. Don't you understand?
Look, I haven't worked in an office since 2018, so I mean, it could be true, but in my case, I don't think it is.
All right, so. I think this is a good place to wrap it. Thank you for joining us, Brendan. I think this was a really good interview and very insightful.
Sure, yeah. I'm glad I got to be on. I hope, again, I hope I don't come off too doom and gloom, because the reality is I think that if you're out there and you're listening and games media of any kind, whether it's YouTube, writing, podcasting, whatever, if you want to do that because you love writing or making videos or doing podcasts, I think you should do it. And I think everyone should go for it, because the big secret is that there is no one way into the games industry and they are never repeated. So your personal path into the industry will be completely different from mine, completely different from anyone else. So yeah, it's not to say that it's a great place, but if it's what you want to do and you're passionate about it and you're willing to deal with the downsides, absolutely go for it. Because as much as I have issues with it, again, it was the thing I wanted to do my whole life, and I'm doing it, and I'm very grateful for what I get to do.
The biggest hurdle in any creative field is actually going in and starting out.
Yeah.
And I would just add to that, the only way to make it a good place is to try and change it yourself, and to try and be one of the ones who makes it a better place.
Agreed. 100%.
All right. Is there anything you want to shout out, Brendan, before we let you go?
Well, not necessarily, because I don't know specifically what I'll be working on when this comes out. But
fine, I'll do it. Watch the Lunacid video on The Crawl. It's really fucking good.
That is a very good video.
I really, really, really like. I was already interested in Lunacid, and I don't even Lunacid. I don't fucking know. Either way,
Lunacid, so that's what I say.
There it is. There it is. I was super interested in that game, but I was on the fence. And when I saw that video and actually watched it, I was like, "Oh, okay, we're in."
I'm glad.
This fucking rocks. Yeah,
I'm glad. Yeah, it's a really good game. I finished it a couple weeks ago. And people like Kingsfield or something, which there's like 12 of us. Yeah, you'll like that game.
Somebody just listened to this and went, "Woo!"
Alright, welcome to the community section of Press Start Turbo. Today we're going to be talking about Disco Elysium as chosen by the Patreon. You can go to the Patreon and vote on the next game and see.
Well, no, because the next game we already had voted on.
Oh shit!
Yeah.
You could say if you there's always a vote.
There's always a vote.
If you want to voice your opinions or vote on whatever game we're going to be playing next, you can go check out the Patreon and then vote on there.
Yeah, because you guys already voted for the next episode because we got to play these in advance.
Mm-hmm.
But yes,
the episode after that.
The episode after that, You want to vote for Stalker, huh? You want to vote for Tekken 8? You fuck!
All right, just for this, we're going to be trying to stick to the first day of Disco Elysium, so there shouldn't be too many spoilers past that, although I know some of us have probably played more than others. Oh yeah, I'll just go around actually. How much have we all played?
Let's be real. You guys finished the game. You all finished the game,
I haven't.
You haven't?
I fucked up because I played about 3/4 through. And then the final cut was announced, and I went, "Oh, I guess I'll wait for that." So then I went back and started playing through that one.
And then you never finished it?
No, I got about halfway through.
So none of us. So yeah, we can't even spoil.
Wait, Cameron, you haven't either?
No, I haven't finished it. I did a similar thing to Mandy. I got like I want to say 2 or 3 days through. And then the final cut got announced, and I said, I'll wait for that. And then it came out, and I forgot about it. So then this last week, I played through the first day, and I did a completely different style of play that I did from the last time I played.
That's the one thing
I did the same thing. I was like, I guess I'll mix it up, and it's been fun.
It's been really fun.
Can I start with a disclaimer for me? Okay.
Disclaimer.
Because people are gonna fucking kill me. People are literally gonna fucking get the guillotine out and fucking kill me. I have a thing where I just can't get into CRPGs no matter how good they are, and I can recognize how good they are, but I just can't get into them, and I bounce back so hard, and I don't know why. And last time I said it, people were literally giving me death threats, and I don't want that to happen again. So I think Disco Elysium is fantastic. I just cannot get into it, and I don't know why. That's the disclaimer. I just don't want to die.
I mean, to be fair, you're telling this to people who have not finished it.
I know, but it's every single time I talk about bouncing back from a CRPG, people are like, fuck you!
I felt like when we all said we haven't finished it, I feel like I could literally hear the horde noises.
Oh, yeah.
From Left 4 Dead, like that.
The thing is, a lot of RPGs are like that.
Billy, if you're in the hall, we're also in the hall.
Oh, yeah, but I also bounce off of Baldur's Gate.
When did you stop playing Baldur's Gate 3? Like, at what point?
I got really bored.
But like, where were you in the game? Do you remember?
Okay,
were you still like Act 1?
Oh my god, yeah. I mean, probably there were like.
Oh my god!
It was like a castle fortress thing, and then there was a little person, and I think I tried to have sex with it. I can't remember.
So I tried to fuck a little person in a castle. Is all you remember?
You're like, this is boring.
I don't know. I was getting really bored. I mean, to be fair, fantasy settings do nothing for me.
Have you found it?
At least fantasy settings that are like really traditional like that, it just doesn't really do it for me.
Was it easier to get into Disco Elysium than Baldur's Gate for you? Did you feel like it was?
No.
It's more history. I don't know.
No, Baldur's Gate. I could get into Baldur's Gate really easily, and I could tell immediately that it was a great game and I was having a good time. But then I bounced off. of Baldur's Gate.
Okay.
Disco Elysium held my attention longer though, because this is not the first time. I'm gonna be honest. I tried playing Disco Elysium about 3 times in the past, and I always bounce back at the same spot.
It is the kind of game you definitely have to be in a certain mood to be playing compared to a lot of other RPGs.
Also, one thing that I don't know if it might affect my experience is that this game uses a lot of big words, and it's my second language. English is my second language, and I'm going to be honest. That is true. Sometimes it talks about it says an English word that is a bit more complicated, and I don't really understand it, and then I have to Google it, and I'm gonna be honest, that really takes away my attention from the game, and it's hard to go back in, which is weird because this game is very French. It's very French. I was really surprised by how weirdly it feels weird, because I remember going to France as a kid and just like hearing words like Martinez and I don't know, Rivacol, all those words, they're so French, and they feel like I've literally been to Martinez, but I know it's a fake place, you know?
Have you tried playing the game in French?
No, because that's the thing. I'm always worried. I would play it in French, but I'm worried that I would get a subpar experience, or like not the intended experience, because the problem with localization is that it's imperfect. There's always going to be, they need to localize some expressions, or some things that just don't work in English have to be like, expressions in English need to be changed. And that's why I never wanted to, because I want to have the experience all my friends are having. I don't want to have a weird
French only.
You guys, because it's a game where sharing your experience is half the fun, right? Like what we're going to be doing.
Who else managed to accidentally kill themselves with their tie the first day?
Yeah, what we're going to be talking about.
Who else is searching for cigarettes and asking every single character they meet about cigarettes?
No. Actually, no.
Have you guys tried giving drugs to Kuno? Because that was what I did in my latest
playthrough. I did too, and he called me a slur.
I constantly try to fight him, and I always fail to fight. And then he's like, "It's minging, it's fucking minging," and then I'm stuck with Calypso Elysium.
Kuno is incredibly funny.
Anyone else point their gun at the child?
Yes! First thing I fucking did, dude. Fuck that kid. I hate that little...
Those kids were strangely unafraid.
The kid's just telling me to do it, and I'm like, I don't know if I want to do it anymore.
To be fair, like, French teenagers aren't afraid of anything.
No, Kuno is definitely a great... Like, Kuno... Talking to Kuno in that game is reminding me of my little brother, where he's like, fuck around and find out. And he's like, okay, I want to find out. I want to find out. Let me find out. I want to find out.
He's doing it to a cop.
When I started Disco Elysium this time, I went for the sensitive archetype.
Oh, man.
Last time I went for, I mean, I can't remember the first time because it's been so long. The second time I did Oonga Boonga, just fight everything. And this time I decided to go for sensitive. And the first thing that happened in the game was it said ancient reptilian brain, and the voice actor
heals up inside you.
That voice actor sounds exactly like you, and that's the first note I took. He sounds exactly like you. I was like, holy shit.
Yeah, I can feel it slithering inside. A tasty morsel for a freak like me.
That's what I'm saying, bro. I thought it was you. I was like, what the fuck? That's Brendan. Why am I fucking playing Brendan game?
Brendan the game. Parts are very spiritually Brendan,
Yeah.
The bear fridge. The bear fridge is my favorite fucking part of the first day. I fucking love the bear fridge.
I never landed. What is the bear fridge?
You didn't find in the basement? You didn't find the bear fridge?
You never found the bear fridge?
I've never been to the basement.
Oh, the bear fridge is so fucking... I saw that and I thought, I would fucking do that.
Is that the same building where you can climb to the top to the person who's hanging out in the...
Who's making dice?
Yes. I remember that. I didn't do that in my playthrough last week, but I did it previously. I remember that. Yeah.
Oh, you guys like had a way different experience from me.
Oh,
damn.
yeah.
Because Kuno's like right there, isn't he? He's like in the area.
Yeah. He's outside the building. building. You can, well, not outside it, but like he's near to the intercom.
He's in like the midway between the inn and the building with a bunch of like interactables. They have that wonderful fucking love letter to like how hard game dev is in that building, and it's so fucking cool.
Yeah, that's really, I love that part. It's amazing.
My playthrough, I mean, there's one thing I did that might have not broken, but I got a weirdly large amount of successes, like successful rolls, and I basically broke into Kuno's hideout. And in Kuno's hideout, I saw all his meth or whatever. I don't know what drugs he was on. That kid's on a lot of drugs. I just broke into his thing and basically found a way to climb up the wall and go in the dock harbor. What is it called?
The Dock Workers Union. Harbor.
I managed to do that within like 15 minutes of my playthrough. And then I just kind of never went back.
So you didn't fail the save to jump where your coat is, I assume.
I basically got dude, it was weird. I feel like I had freak luck because I remember the first time I played this game, it was just nonstop fails.
So it was the opposite for me because in my first playthrough, I did the exact same thing you did, Billy. But in this one that I did, shit. I went up to that place and I went to go jump, but I failed the fucking roll. And I was like, oh God. And then my character almost had a breakdown. Die? No. So instead of running to, like, you run up to the ledge and then your character goes, oh my fucking God, I can't fucking do it. This is the worst thing I've ever done. And then you lose a bit of sanity.
Oh no, he gets depression.
So I remember from my first playthrough that killed me. Like I think I had lost sanity, like arguing with Kuno as well. So then I had only 1 bar left, and then the game was like, "You're dead now." But on this one, I failed it, and I still had enough, and I was like, "Shit, what the fuck what the fuck do I do?" Like my last playthrough, I just got in and then I talked to the union boss that way. And then this time I had to go around and start arguing to the fucking supremacist about about his belief system.
That's one thing I accidentally did. I accidentally learned critical race theory. I did, because dude, I don't know what I'm doing. I was on the other side of the port, and then I was like, I don't want to be on here. The plot is like over there. So then I went back. And then I wanted to go in through where the people were telling me to go. And then I talked to the guy, and then he gave me advanced race theory. And I was like, I don't know what that means.
Time to start thinking about it.
And I just started the thinking thing.
Yeah.
And then the moment at one point I had the realization, because somebody else, dude, I'm so stupid. I feel like I'm just outing myself as the biggest dumbass on the planet. But it took me somebody else to be like, that racist freak. For me to be like, oh, advanced race theory. He's racist.
Motherfucker out here thinking he's a Mortal Instrument when in actuality he got a full Shivers build.
The first thing he does when he looks at you, Billy, is he goes, your body betrays you.
What is it? Yeah,
fucking useless.
Well, yeah,
like, look at my pristine, beautiful body compared to yours, pretty much.
Well, yeah, but I thought he was talking about, because he's like jacked. So I was like, oh, he's just talking about how jacked he is and how wimpy your main character is. I thought that's what he meant. I didn't think he'd be talking about like how cracker I am.
That's the fun of it. You can play it and go into a completely off angle, like, oh fuck, I didn't think filling the role would lead here.
Or you can play it the right way and be a superstar.
True.
You could be a superstar.
You have to keep the look. I hope you all kept the look.
I kept the look, of course I did. The fucking smile.
Oh, actually, no. In my first playthrough, I kept the look. In this playthrough, I still don't know what I look like. I just didn't look in the mirror. So my player portrait is still just like murked out. I also never told Kim that I've got amnesia as well. He just
oh my god, you kept that up.
Wait. What do you mean so you have to look in the mirror?
You don't have to. When you look in the mirror in the beginning, you can be like, no, I can't bear to face myself, basically. And so you don't know what you look like.
Or you can be like, I'm fucking sexy as hell. I'm a superstar. And then you keep
the superstar smile.
Shit.
Oh, I think that's what I did. I think what I did was I can't bear to look at myself.
Because superstar playthrough is great. It comes up constantly.
I fucking love I love all the dialogue options you get for like Superstar, where you're just like, I'm fucking awesome, Kim. I don't know, I'm fucking sweet. I'm sick as hell. Like, I'm tight as fuck.
Wait. Okay, this is from fucking forever ago because it was like from an older playthrough. I think I got Superstar, and is it the one where you can do a weird like Matrix dive into an old lady? Am I crazy? Am I inventing that?
There's a few Matrix dive moments. There's like the one where you could go backwards with the double middle fingers.
Maybe that's the one. Is that one thing that you unlock with? Because I didn't have the option for that.
I remember hitting someone in a wheelchair doing a dive.
That's what I'm thinking.
Oh wait,
Yeah,
that
there's
might be
the
the
old
same
wheelchair
person
in like the diner inn. Yeah,
That's the old lady in the diner.
Yeah, yes, that is something you could do. You said old lady, and I was just thinking of, I knew it was someone like in a wheelchair, but I forgot it was an old lady.
I just realized like everybody's an old lady in this everybody's so old except Kuno. Kuno's like the only young little boy.
You could also talk to a lot of people about how books are stupid, and it's like, I fucking love the little girl in front of the bookstore.
Yeah.
I love just being like, explain, what are books? Explain them to me now. Explain novels to me. Explain genres.
I just made her believe I was like the hottest shit ever, like the best detective of all time.
Yeah.
Explain, what is a detective?
No one knows I have amnesia. But I keep asking questions that are clearly indicative of someone who has amnesia. Like, it's like, so Kim's just like, what the fuck's wrong with you? I'm like, I don't know. Nothing. I'm fine. But what are we doing again?
How the hell did you make it so that nobody questioned you? Because everybody immediately looked at me and was like, what the fuck are you talking about? And then Kim immediately was like, you have fucking amnesia, dumbass?
So there's a dialogue option where when you ask a question, after that, you can just like pretty much, it's like the equivalent of nodding along. Like you can,
right.
you can just be like, oh yeah, that makes sense. Or like when you're questioning about the case, you're like, why are you here? And he's like, I thought you'd know. I'm like, they're like, nah, they didn't tell me anything. It's like...
You just have the Brendan soundboard answers.
Yeah.
No, thank you. No.
Hi.
Yes.
Hi.
Yes.
Yes.
Hi.
Hi. Yes.
Okay.
Hi. I'm normal.
But it's great because I've gone for the I dumped int, but I made it so my character's really like empathetic but also strong, and then just like but not very dexterous. So he's just this like fucking strong as fuck
bear.
dude who really I'm a bear. Really in tune with my senses, but massive.
That's insane because you basically literally just built the old what is it from the fucking TG Sir Barrington.
Oh, hey, he's just the bear. Yeah.
Or like Sir Barrington is a tabletop story where this guy, he plays an actual bear, but he rolls so high that nobody knows that he's a bear.
He had a very good disguise skill.
That's like a really old forum post.
Yeah,
isn't
that's
it?
an old TG post. It's 3.5 D&D, I'm pretty sure.
And then I love the one butler realizing that he's a bear and everybody thinking
just
that the
bear.
butler is insane.
That's really funny.
We're sorry about this, Sir Barrington. He'll never work here again.
Yes, Sir Barrington, quite.
Yeah, no, did anybody else become best friends with a corpse? Like the bloated ass corpse?
I did not.
I talked to it for sure, but I don't think we became friends.
I didn't befriend it.
Well, I talked to it and I kept being positive and like we kept, like fucking like buds, and eventually I don't know if I don't know what he thinks about me, but I think we were friends.
Okay, so maybe you just talked to it.
I was just talking to it and he was like, I'm a flat body corpse, I'm a big bloated corpse, and I was like, yeah, you are, bud, woo. And I just kind of I guess we're friends. I like to imagine we're friends.
See, Billy, I've tricked you, actually. This is why we're friends, is I've been a bloated corpse the entire time. Yeah, sorry.
No!
It's okay, the flesh fell off.
That's true.
I really like a lot of the, I feel like in Disco, one of my favorite things is how, and this is in tabletop as well, where the fails are almost always, in a lot of ways, better than the successes sometimes.
Yes.
Or like when you fail a skill
that.
check and the game is better because you failed it is such an intriguing concept to me.
That's one thing that CRPGs do very well, which I really, really like, is just like failure is playing the game.
Because otherwise you go, oh fuck, I failed, and you want to load it.
Yeah. It's just a different aspect of like your character. Your character's it just like it informed your character more rather than just being like, oh, now this path is locked off and you can't go down this way, and you're going to see less parts of the game, and that's not cool. And you're like, oh, well, time to reload a save and try again. It's less like that, and it's more like, oh, that's cool. That's an interesting thing I didn't know about, or like, now Kuno, like I failed the chick with Kuno when I'm like arguing with him, and now I'm his little bitch, and I want to go find him drugs.
Yeah, well, that's one of my favorite things about tabletop, and I think Disco is very, very good at bringing an idealized version of tabletop to the CRPG. It's fucking sick.
It's so interesting because it expands on my favorite parts about RPGs to me, and that is the character building and the dialogue, and I think that's what a lot of people play RPGs for. And it just makes that the game instead of there being like a combat system and stuff like that. It's just focuses really, really hard on the.
If you kill Kuno, it says it ends the game and shows burnout cop shoots child.
Wait, actually?
Actually, yeah. If you shoot Kuno, it ends the the He's amazing. Unkillable.
Holy shit!
So you can kill him, but the cop shooting the child does not.
Yeah,
yeah.
It's an ending though.
It is an ending.
That's funny as hell. Holy crap! I do desperately wish I could get into these types of games. I just can't, and I don't know why.
Which is interesting because it's such like a departure from them. It's only like when people talk about Planescape Torment, what most people hate in it is the fucking combat. Or people go, "Oh, I want to play this game. It got really dragged down by all the combat," and this is nothing but like the dialogue and investigating and exploring.
I know.
Yeah.
And the weird part is role-playing is my favorite part of D&D. I don't like combat in D&D very much.
Yeah, and
I still can't get into this game. I don't know why. There's something about CRPGs that's...
Have you played other isometric games? Like, is that... Because it could just be... Is it the perspective, or is it just the...
I don't know. Divinity, I tried to get into, and I haven't been able to...
that's a full-on CRPG.
I think my biggest issue with CRPGs in general is like any RPG... where when you put it down and you're like, I will pick this up again in a week or two. And like the ADHD brain that I have is like, oh God, I don't remember a single thing of what I did. Like if I play a CRPG and finish it, I literally, this is my week. This is the only game I will play this week. Because if I stop playing it, I'm going to forget.
And they make them like 300 hours long.
Yeah.
How the fuck am I supposed to do that in a week?
I guess, but also like, I say that, but I play the shit out of JRPGs.
Like, well, JRPGs a lot of the time also do recaps. Like, Xenoblade is really good about that, like figuring out like where you are when you pick it up again.
But what is it about? Because it's not Western RPGs. I can get into Western RPGs. It's not that. It's just there's.
Did you ever play like Dragon Age?
Yes, I love Dragon Age.
It might be the camera perspective.
That's so stupid. Why is my brain like that?
If
That's
you play Dragon Age
dumb.
on PC, there's literally a way you can scroll out and you play it like any other isometric game.
Yeah,
the gameplay is a top-down one.
That's how I would play normally, and then when combat happened, I would zoom out. But that's stupid. What a stupid reason to not get into something. Yeah.
That's crazy.
I don't know.
It must be the angle then.
But it's so weird. Why is that a thing with my brain where I just bounce off because I'm too far away?
Some people are just like that.
It's me with platformers.
I would also say like maybe it's the way the game controls. Like because it's the like I don't like it either really. The clicking like using your mouse to move around and it feels kind of janky sometimes, but like
that's why this game is like exploded.
Yeah.
I played on PS5. And the controls on PS5 are, goddamn, they tried. I got stuck on geometry a lot.
Well, those Bioware games were mainly just like, I don't mean like Jade Empire and the earlier ones. Even Knights of the Republic, I guess, would count too. But let's take those role-playing games and kind of streamline them down and make them play a little bit more like an action game. And then Mass Effect went full that route. And then they fucking exploded.
Yeah. I really, really like Jade Empire, though.
You like Jade? Oh, man, Jade Empire is cool.
Yeah, dude, I fucking love
Rat Demon.
Dude, that was like one of my favorite games as a kid. I remember I discovered the fucking the save scum death at the casino all by my own because I was like trying to fucking save scum and get money, and then I got fucking murdered. That game's fucking awesome.
Yeah, Jade Empire is cool.
I think something else that like really draws me to Disco Elysium as well, and I think after this I am definitely gonna go back and fully finish it because I got super into it on the latest playthrough, but the art and the style of the game and how realized the world is just like insane.
Yeah. It's so unique. You can't get Disco Elysium anywhere else, you know?
No.
The art is so fucking incredible.
Just the setting, just the feeling of everything is so fucking specific.
How many people worked on this specifically? Like the director, because it feels like God, what a pretentious thing to say, but it feels like author work, where it's like such a singular vision that is so perfectly well like realized. You know,
I think they're just really close because I think did it just have the one writer? I think
I believe. It was I think there might have been a few more like to help out with like extra dialogue and stuff like that.
Gotcha.
I think it's Robert Kurvitz, I believe, was the designer and writer for the game.
Okay.
But I think it was there was another writer.
Well, writer and designer will do a lot for that, even if he was the lead for both.
But but it all comes from their tabletop game their homebrew, right? If I remember correctly,
this is from a homebrew.
I believe so.
That's real interesting. Damn.
Developed a tabletop RPG based on Dungeons & Dragons theme-like combat concept. Yeah, it was a homebrew originally.
That's so interesting.
And I think they sold it as like
just like I Divine Cybermancy. Wasn't that also a thing? Yeah.
That was also based off a homebrew.
But I think it comes through with how realized the world is. Like, of course, they would have had to have been like working within this world for years and years for it to have all of this like...
Yeah, no.
All these small details about how everything functions.
Yeah.
In like the other countries you hear about.
And the eras as well. The eras of the world. Like there's like, they talk about when the revolution happened and like... You know, what happened over here, what type of racism there is, you know, like
stuff they probably encountered in their many campaigns playing the game.
Yeah.
That makes so much more sense that this world was already a realized thing. That's why it's a singular vision, because it's been going on for so long. That's really interesting. I didn't know that.
But like even just like the art style is so fucking surreal. Like when you first go to pick your character skills.
Gorgeous.
And you're looking at all the imagery for your abilities.
Yeah.
And just what the fuck am I looking at?
The paintings are insanely beautiful. They remind me of I don't know if you get I don't know if anybody else like somebody in the fucking crowd is gonna go, I know that guy, but it kind of reminds me of Francis Bacon.
Oh,
the Irish painter, Francis Bacon, a bit, who is one of my favorite painters. I think his art is fucking incredible.
Yeah, it definitely because the way the faces are kind of like smeared and distorted, and the color scheme. Yeah,
it always reminds me of Dave McKean, who did the art for the Sandman covers. I try to compose some of those, which is like some.
Oh, but McKean with the K, right?
Yeah. It's different style. Like obviously there's a lot of unique.
Sandman's super stylized
and different, but you can see like the inspirations and all that stuff poking through, and it's like Disco Elysium finds its own like singular vision, and it's just I don't know, and having everything be part of it, all of the character portraits and stuff like that, all add to it. The clothing, the clothing is nuts as well. Like, I think
dude, the fits go.
The fashion's crazy,
so hard. It goes so hard. It's like going to a fashion show, dude. It's like going to the Paris fashion show, bro.
Yeah, there's so much. There's so much to think about in the game, and it proposes so many interesting questions.
And then it'll start shit posting at you.
Yeah, exactly. Then it'll start just like doing like fucking dumb shit. It's
like it kind of does reflect it too, because if how you play, it's like it'll be fun sometimes, but you can usually play it you can try to play it more straight.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like if you engage with the dumb shit, it'll go on such a fucking long tangent with it. Where like most games, like a BioWare game, you might be able to say something silly, you'll get like a silly line back, and then it's like, okay, back on track. Where Disco Elysium will just keep that train of thought going and going and going, and then it's a fucking quest.
It's like a Brendan moment in perilous storytelling.
It is a very Brendan game.
Yeah.
Like actually.
Just like how far the bit is going.
Which makes even more sense now with that comparison, knowing that it's a tabletop, like it was a tabletop homebrew. Because if we were gonna make a game in this similar style, I feel like we would also have Brendan moments.
Yeah, where it's like, oh, the bit should be over. No, just have it keep going.
No, keep it
have
going.
the bit keep going an uncomfortable length of time.
I fucking
the chair
love
kills you.
I fucking love bits that go on for an uncomfortable length of time.
Yeah.
What if he said big pizza for 45 minutes playing Disco Elysium?
And then the camera
never
turned
stopped.
on, and then I was dressed up as Harry Dubois, and I was eating a big pizza.
Oh my god.
But yeah, we should talk about the community post, which is something interesting we kind of talked on before. But Edgy Hacker says like they've been meaning to start to play Disco Elysium, but they worry about not being able to see everything possible or locking myself out of story paths if playing it blind. Is this something any of you feel about RPGs when your choices shape the story?
No.
I do think about that. I'm sorry.
Sorry.
There's
what I was, I thought I.
Oh, sorry,
was,
Billy.
I had
you
the
talk,
thinking.
Billy.
Well,
ass
he
you
said
have the
no.
stick.
He said no, and I thought that was it. You
No,
were talking.
Okay, real quick, like I never feel any pressure, especially with a game like this, where the whole point is that there are so many branching paths, right? Like the point of the game is that you're going to fail and you're not going to be able to see everything you want to see. But also, just hearing us four played just the first day of the game, and we all said shit that is completely different from one playthrough to the other, and that's the beauty of this game in particular, and most, like, a lot of RPGs with a lot of branching paths and choices like that. You will have your singular experience, and that's what it sells itself on, and that's why I don't think it bothers me at all to have a game do that. But that's mostly just because I know it's going to happen, because I go into it knowing that the narrative is going to be completely different and singular to my experience.
Well, yeah, and that's
Right.
that's the thing about CRPGs and RPGs in general, is they're great when they allow for multiple different playthroughs, because you experience different stories and different characters are built, even if it's just you are playing as the detective, but what kind of detective? How do they act? How do they react to situations? Do you win or fail?
New Game Plus exists because of that.
Yep.
Because you want to try a new build, because you want to try a new path in the game. Like, New Game Plus is a thing because of that. That's why it's that's why it doesn't bother me.
Look at video games that try to let you experience everything and how draining that can be. Like Starfield is a big example for me, because
any Ubisoft game as well.
It's the I want to be able to experience and do everything, but because of that, there's less weight on your choices because you can do everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In Skyrim, the groups are never at war. You can join everything except Empire and Stormcloaks,
Yes.
and those are very bare bones.
Starfield's very funny to me because Billy brought up New Game Plus, because that is a video game where every playthrough, it's like, you can do everything, you can experience everything, but then it also has a New Game Plus that resets the universe, so there's no fucking point for it to allow
Why
you
would
to
there
have
be a New Game Plus?
Well, it's insane that it has essential NPCs and that it has do
if it could all be
everything.
reset anyways,
If
then
you can
why would it
already
matter?
reset the world as the Starborn, then why the fuck would you want to
The
experience?
what?
Oh yeah, that's what it's called, by the way. It's the Starborn.
I did not play enough of that game to get to that.
Not fucking with you.
Do you unlock space shouts?
You do unlock space shouts,
That's
and they're
Are you
even
fucking
worse.
kidding me?
No, you know what's worse than
way.
Starfield about the space shouts, actually, is that you go into a temple and you literally walk up to orbs that ring, and the New Game Plus is so that you can get all the powers, because you can't get all the powers in one fucking playthrough because they're
Oh my
generated.
God.
And all of the powers, almost all of them fucking suck, and some of them have no purpose.
You could be lying right now and I'd still believe you.
No,
Yeah.
you know how like in Skyrim when you get the dragon shouts, you go into like a dungeon that is handcrafted by a person, you do cool things, you get the shout. In Starfield, you walk into a temple, you play with orbs for literally a minute, you get the power, and every single one is exactly the same.
That's really fucking lame, dude.
It's really depressing that like they went through the like everybody should be able to experience everything and you shouldn't be able to be like left out of a quest, because the fun part of a video game sometimes is the choices of your actions should fucking matter.
I was gonna say, like, and this ties into this, but it's an RPG game, meaning like role-playing game. You should be playing a role, right? And I don't know, like, unless you're playing the fucking intergalactic janitor who has to clean up every single mess on every single planet, why the fuck am I doing everything? Like, I should be doing something that is specific to the character I'm trying to do and create. And if that locks me out of it, out of certain parts of the game or whatever, that's cool because that just means I'm doing other stuff that other people wouldn't be doing. That's a different avenue I could have gone down if I was playing a different character. If I was
You might like Age of Decadence.
I probably will.
Age of Decadence is very different.
What is Age of Decadence?
It's like Cameron was kind of alluding to. You can play if you play a non-combat character, you'll never see combat and miss huge chunks of the game.
Oh.
But that's cool though, isn't it? Like that's
yeah. Well, yeah, you pick a role but it's like, oh, you can like be a warrior in one.
Okay.
And like you'll see all this combat, or you could play a scholar and miss like huge areas and stuff. Like it all is very dependent on the character you roll. So it might be a much shorter game, but you'll see like a very different part of it, which is neat.
Yeah, that's super neat. I think it's a bad mentality to get. I mean, I can understand where it's coming from if you want to, you know, you buy something and you're like, I want to experience all of it, right? But in a game like this, it's less about experiencing all of it,
especially
and more about like
there's so much luck in like there's way too much randomization. Even if there's no way there's guides for Disco Elysium, right? Because it's so random.
Oh, there's guides for sure.
How do you even
it's
make
probably
a guide
just
for
path,
a game?
They probably path that very specifically.
Thing like, if you missed this check, you can go over here.
You have to do these exact
reload.
dialogue options.
My
do these dialogue options. Press 5 when talking to racists. Press 7 when talking to fat union boss.
Good lord.
Like
because if you want to experience everything in Disco Elysium, I feel like it's impossible because of how the game is.
Yeah, I feel like following a guide is antithetical to how you should play Disco Elysium.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I guess if you get really lost, you can look up a guide just to go where, be like, oh, that's where I need to go.
But you should be doing what you think your character should be doing. If it's solving the murder, it's solving the murder. If it's trying to give drugs to a child, it's trying to give drugs to a child. If it's, you know, like strangling yourself by your tie, and like that's what your character's got to do. I don't know.
I mean, going back to that question where it's like, do you worry about stuff? That's usually a sign of a not great role-playing game.
Mm-hmm.
Because that usually means there's like a win state and a lose state, which is like some of those BioWare games, those later ones are very like that, where it's, oh, you just something funny happened because you failed. No, you just fucked up. It's just worse. A bad thing happens.
That's the thing. Like, if it's a good role-playing game, failing is just as fun and interesting as...
as winning.
Yeah. Although I understand that not every role-playing game is a game that wants to be like that.
I like the part of Mass Effect 2 when you can kick that guy out the window.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, they'll have... Paragon and Renegade is such a fucking brainworm for me. Because in Mass Effect 1, it just meant, oh, you're a Paragon, you want everyone to get along, all the aliens. And then Renegade just meant you were a human supremacist, basically.
Mm-hmm.
And then 2 changed it to being like, blue is good and red is kind of asshole. But the asshole interrupts you could do are actually pretty fucking fun and cool.
Oh, I always.
And others are like
the one.
Yeah, and it's like others.
I always kick him out of the window. Always.
Yeah, others are like they die anyways. Like, oh, you can talk this guy out of him, or you could kick him through a window as we show these massive over the head angles of how far the drop will be.
Who else out there always punched the reporter? I'm just saying.
You don't want to drop a one-liner.
I'll give a good anecdote that supports this from Disco Elysium is getting the body down from the tree. So in my first playthrough, I I hit the band and it fell, and the body fell down, and that was it. I had the body down. This time, I missed, and then I aimed my gun at a child, and then got to I wimped out of shooting the child, and now I failed this check. Right, this is a failure state. I haven't got the body down, but the game's still going. And it's not like I'm locked out of content. In fact, more content is now it's like, oh, you've got to go talk to the union people and get them to come over here. But now they might fuck with the evidence, so you're not going to know if like shit's happened. So it's actually like expanded out the way in which the game worked. And it's like, you know, I'm not afraid of fail states and I'm not afraid of missing stuff. Like if I've missed something, it just means I get to see something new and cool that I haven't seen before. Yeah. That's how I'd approach the game, if that's how you're feeling about it. It's not a Ratchet and Clank. You don't need to collect all of the fucking all of the bolts.
I gotta get all my achievements because my gamer score is looking real low. I want to be able to do all the things so I can get real big number.
I mean, it is fun to go back, especially when you read up on like stuff you've done, and then you read there was some entirely different way you could beat it through some obscure means.
Yeah.
You go, what the fuck? Like, you could have done that? Oh, god damn it.
Baldur's Gate 3 also has a lot of moments like that where
that has tons of those.
failures.
You can eat the baby in Fallout 3?
Oh, no, don't do this. Don't do this.
What?
Man, do you remember when you thought that you could eat
I
the
thought
baby
that
in
too.
Fallout 3?
Because whenever I ran a cannibal character, I would never fucking make it that far to get to the pit. So I was so convinced, like the end of the pit DLC, there's a baby you can like, what the baby have? That's something important about it genetically.
It's immune to the
radiation or something.
It's like there's like a disease in the pit that's affecting everybody.
That's right.
It's like immune to the disease.
Yeah, and I was convinced that there was a perk for cannibal to let you devour the baby. That turned out to be a mod.
It's
a screenshot from a mod.
That's really funny though. I'd download that mod.
Because I was really impressed by it. Like, oh wow, a use for cannibal, like devour the baby and get like immunity or something.
I love that Mandela effect because it pretends that Fallout 3 is a better game. I still like parts of Fallout 3, but I love that Mandela effect.
Yeah. Like Fallout 3 is fun to explore, but all that question stuff is like, good god.
Can you nuke a city in Starfield?
No,
Bad game.
There are some there's some really neat sci-fi options in Starfield, but it has the generic Bethesda. They never stick the landing on any of the quests. An example that I did is a quest line where I was a ranger and I felt really fucking cool because I was trying to unravel this mystery of who was like being a bastard and funding these like people that are stealing land. And then I found out it's like the corporate guy who owns like this shipyard company who's trying to like fucking sell dirt, high quality dirt. And I'm like, oh, this is awesome. Like, okay, since there's a persuasion system in Starfield, can I talk him down and let him like get arrested to build into this? Like, I am a ranger. I don't want to kill him.
Right.
And I don't want to like get bribed by him. But there are only two options. He's going to freak out and like you have to kill him, or you let him bribe you. And at that point, money's not a problem in the fucking game. So like, of course I go for the like, you have to lay down the law. I'm going to lay down the law. And he gives his like evil villain speech and then you kill him. And then an employee walks up after hearing his whole villain speech about selling dirt and ruining lives. She's like, why would you do that? He employs so many people. I was like, what? Are you fucking actuallying me right now? Why would you kill him? He employs so many people. Oh my God. I'm like, I didn't want to kill him. I wanted to arrest him. And like, it doesn't allow for that. It doesn't like have room for it. It doesn't stick the landing. There's a colony ship, right? And it's fucking sick. This ship leaves. I know I'm talking about Starfield. I just want to bitch about this.
Okay, go for it.
There's this ship, and it's a colony ship, and it leaves Earth before like FTL or the equivalent of FTL in Starfield exists, right? So this colony ship goes out, and it's been fucking flying for 200 years. They have their own civilization inside of this colony ship, and like it's this really cool moment where they get to the planet that they were going to, but people have already inhabited it for 100 years, and it's this luxury planet where like these dumb corpo heads are like selling land to rich people so they can live on this paradise planet, and this colony ship arrives, and they're like, what do we fucking do about it? So you go up to the colony ship and you're like, okay, what are my fucking options here? Like, you feel like the world is open to you, but your only options are, well, you can A, kill them all, B, sell them into indentured servitude to the rich people on the fantasy planet because that's fucking sick and epic, or C, install an FTL drive in their ship that actually works so they can float around forever doing nothing until you reset the universe as a starbone, but you dumb fuck.
Oh, that's so shit.
God.
That has so many options to like you can envision for that.
There could be so many paths forward, and like you could literally build an entire quest line.
Come settle on this planet, or
you could set up a planet for them, or you could fuck over the corpo guys and just raid the luxury resort.
Yeah.
But like all of the corpo heads are non-killable NPCs. They're all essential. Like you can't fucking walk up and just pop them in the face for saying dumb shit. It's so mind-blowingly like mediocre, right? And like there are so many moments where like if they had gone a little bit further, they could have done something amazing.
There is a problem that rises up with stuff like that, though. I'm not defending Bethesda because that game fucking sucks, I think. But there's a problem with scale because you can think of so many different ways to make this, like, to role play this situation, but there's only so much programming and
true, like there's a cost and there's a weight to that. There's a limit to what you can do, but I would rather have one full-baked system over 3 half-baked systems.
1,000 planets.
I mean, I think that is the issue. Yeah, scale. Like, why the fuck do I need 1,000 planets? Why don't we just like do
1,000 planets, and then also on top of that, It's back to our earlier conversation about generative content is Radiant quests. You look at Radiant questing in earlier Bethesda games.
What is that?
Radiant quests are like,
Skyrim has unlimited quests.
My name is Preston Garvey. There's a settlement that needs your help, and it picks a settlement and it gives you kill 20 ghouls at random dungeon, right?
That's Radiant Quest. It just generates.
I don't remember that. I remember.
Of course, you don't remember it.
Quest, but I don't remember that.
No one remembers it.
In Skyrim, it was the Dark Brotherhood. After you finish the main quest for the Dark Brotherhood, it's like, okay, now you need to go kill this random person in this house.
Yeah. Okay. I remember that.
Instead of like pulling back on Radiant quests and doing more like designer quests, they've gone full ahead on a Radiant everything. You go to a planet and there's like a science outpost, listening outpost, and every single dungeon input is the same.
Didn't Fallout 4 also do the same thing where, what's his phrase?
I just said Preston Garvey.
Yeah, that's what you said, Preston.
I just said Preston Garvey says into a settlement,
okay.
and it's like, this settlement needs your help.
Yeah. Can I be honest? I killed him.
Yeah.
I used mods.
I mean, fair. The design of questing in Starfield would have been so much better if there were just like 10 to 20 planets, because also with the infinite planets, they don't do anything interesting enough with them. If you go to a landmark on a planet that you randomly generate, right? Like, it's not generative, it's like cells, and some of them are predetermined. But if you go to a planet and you scan the wildlife, it doesn't matter. Like, they all drop like hydrogen. There's not like unique items or uniqueness to what is dropped. You go to a listening post, it will always spawn in maybe a different enemy type, maybe different loot in containers, but like it will always spawn in the same items. I went to a listing post, the same one 7 times, and got the same antique wooden duck in the exact same place, right? And also with Radiant Quests, the systems that they have in place to enhance them aren't interesting enough for it. Like, if you go to a random planet, you're like, oh, this planet has iron and copper. I could place an outpost here and like get resources for that outpost. That's so freaking epic and awesome. But it doesn't matter if you do that, because there's no reason to do that. There's no impetus on there. I mean, it's similar to the settlements in Fallout 4. There's no real reason to do it except for, I can make this settlement look kind of cool. But at least in Fallout 4, you could make them look kind of cool instead of just building an orb here, filling it with furniture, and being like, well, what do I do with this orb filled with furniture? I have a mining thing outside getting me hydrogen. I don't need hydrogen because fuel doesn't matter, because they scrapped fuel before game release.
Wait, what?
Oh yeah, your starships don't actually have fuel.
I mean, to be fair, I understand.
I understand that
to refuel. There's so if like you'd have to. There's so much to
make you play the game more.
Another thing is like planets have hazards, and the hazards literally don't matter at all, because it feels like that was a system that wasn't like that they had to either like couldn't fully cut, but they wanted to like diminish the effect of it. So you go on a planet, you'll get radiation sickness, and it's like, it doesn't matter. I'll just take a funny little medicine and keep going.
Yeah, I just think about all of this dev time put into content that the majority of the players are just not going to like engage with on any like real level. It's just, and like it's games like Disco Elysium that are so more focused on trying to do their specific thing, and like
singular vision.
I think like Disco Elysium is like pretty fucking expansive, especially for the team that, like, the size of the team that made it. But still, it's like, you know, it's not trying
There's nothing that seems superfluous or like useless in that game. Everything has a purpose, and it's like I said earlier, singular vision. It knows what it is, and it does it insanely well. And then that's kind of the difference, though, with like Starfield needs to appeal to the biggest audience possible, so it has to do everything, and jack of all trades,
master of none.
They're selling the scale. That's what they're selling. Is like, this is the everything game that you can do everything in. You can climb that mountain through 17 different loading screens. You know,
you could literally get a piece of bread and put it on that mountain, and then eat the piece of bread. Whoa!
And then eat the mountain, big and round, full of mountain.
You brought it up, not me.
Well, that's the thing.
On and eat the food.
You think about all of these like fucking objects that are in the world. Like, they show that image of the that lady that was hoarding sandwiches in her spaceship.
And food doesn't even matter in the game.
Yes,
food, there's no perk or anything to make food even viable
just
for like your build.
Item.
It's literally, you get perks and stuff from eating food. Like, you can get a recipe for your grandpa's meatloaf, because the only cool thing about Starfield is the parents thing. The parents thing is the only neat thing.
That did seem very cute. That's one of the perks I picked when I started the game.
I will stand by. I think the coolest thing Starfield does is if you pick the parents perk, your parents are literally vacationing at the different like handcrafted worlds, and you can run into them being scammed, and it's great.
That's fun.
Cute. That's really fun. I never got to that because I got too bored before I even got to
don't blame you. You could also do a bunch of Radiant quests that are actually funny, where you just work for a bank and just basically bust people for their debt. You can literally hunt people down for the bank.
Oh my god.
To repossess their homes.
You could literally go and you like find people that have like defaulted on their loans and go and kill them or like abduct them. And I'm like, why is more of the game like this? This is actually there are hidden parts of that game that are generally like, oh my fucking god, I wish, but like you have to engage in so many boring systems to get there that it's not worth it.
Oh well. Video games.
Disco cool, Starfield drool.
Disco Elysium, very cool. I think I'm gonna go and finish it.
I gotta
go back to it and finish it. I gotta. How many days? How many days are there in the game?
I read that there was 10.
Well, I think you could do it like kind of early. Like there's ways to beat it before the 10 days are up.
Oh, you have a limit of 10 days. Would that be it?
No, like I think there's like different endings you could get on like days between like 4 and 10, I believe.
I see.
But I guess if we're being technical, like, shooting child counts as an ending.
True.
There are earlier ways to end it.
Billy's gonna go back, kill Kuno, and say,
I beat the game. I beat the game. It's fucking minging.
Now I'm never gonna get angry comments.
No more CRPG hate.
No. Oh, I don't hate them. That's the thing.
Well, you have to do is play Pathfinder Wrath of the Righteous.
You respect them from a distance.
Play Dragon Age 2. You press a button, something awesome has to happen. So button awesome connected now in Dragon Age 2.
You can't quote that right now at me. Right? Don't quote awesome happens.
I fucking love the awesome button. That is the cornerstone of fucking Dragon Age 2. The awesome button.
It's kind of the cornerstone of fucking Kingdoms of Amalur as well.
I fucking love when that guy pops up.
I wish Kingdoms of Amalur had an awesome button.
I love when that guy fucking pops up in Dragon Age Inquisition.
Yeah, I think I'm going to end it there. Thanks everyone for whoever made it to the end of the episode. Again, if you want to suggest the next game, not the next game we play, because that'll be Metal Gear Solid 3.
But next episode is Metal Gear Solid 3.
But if you want to comment on it, if you want to have it read out in the episode, go to the Patreon. There you can check that out and vote on games upcoming and then comment on it.
Yeah. If you want to request a game, you can also do so in the comments. I'm gonna the pinned comment from the channel. You can just
and then patrons will vote on those.
Yep. All right. Have a good day, everybody.
Bye.
Fuck you. Hey, thanks so much for listening. This episode would not have been possible without the help from our patrons, such as Alan Diver, Artavagan, Beck Davis, Bier, Bland But Funny, Boopulu, Brain Soup, Caffeine Addicted Chemist, Chris Chapman, Christian Van Engen, Dasul Burt, Delling City, Dog Named Bear, Dreams of Ice, DX Studios, Eric Scott Gillies, Ethan C., Ethereal, Generic Phoenix, Handsome Destiny, Hater115, John Requires Lasagna, Kawaii Boy Toy, Lambda, Leo the Geotech, Loudon Woodworth, Mr. Shirt, Random Diamonds, Rhythms, Rocco the Raccoon, Smeet Mono, Spherical May, The Frost Ace, The Snack Solotl, Winnie Rab, and Will9455. Thank you so much, and I hope you have a fantastic day.